Welcome, I am Chris Gore from Film Threat. This is Hollywood on the Rocks on the Film Threat livecast on a Wednesday. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I'm excited today. Lots to talk about. We have the new episode of Quantum Leap, a review by Alan Ng. Also, we'll be talking about Werewolf by Night and Hellraiser. A new Hellraiser is here for a new generation. Also, what else are we talking about? Vesper, we're going to get to that. House of the Dragon, episode 7. So much to discuss, along with your chat questions and comments. Let's get it all going. Let's go. It's Hollywood on the Rocks on a Wednesday. It's happy hour somewhere. Somewhere it's happy hour. So you know what? Let's get this started and go. Hey, Alan Ng, how's it going?
Hey.
Alan Ng.
Hey, you know, we got an email from Billy Eichner. He wanted to thank you for being one of the straight guys who paid money and watched his movie.
I did, okay, paid money. I used my A-list. I'm an A-list member.
I believe that counts.
Does it count? Okay, it
I
counts.
believe it counts.
By the way, I'm just like fresh out of the shower. I was like, I'm gonna be on time today. We're gonna be on time. We got so much to talk about. Then I got Paulie from Latino Slant texting me as I'm trying to get ready. I'm trying to do my pre-show, whatever. I'm trying to eat. I burned a pizza, ate it anyways, rushed to the shower, and I got Paulie texting me. I don't want to say what I was doing when he was texting me. We had this whole conversation about like he should have you on his show. You have Latino Slant. Why don't you have Alan on? Alan could do his own thing.
Well, my own thing on his, or
yeah, just whatever.
I've been on the show. Yeah,
you've been on the show. You've been on the show. You could do a whole other thing. All right, Alan. It's so much to talk about today. It seems like I had a DM exchange yesterday with Chrissy Mayer. Chrissy Mayer is a comedian. She's also a pop culture and political commentator. She appears on FNT every week. She also has her own show, the Chrissy Mayer Show. And she is one of the only other people I know who has seen Bros. Okay. The only other people. So I noticed like last night, she just tweeted something. She was like in a theater alone with her future mother-in-law, I think. Like two women going to see Bros like in an empty theater. It was just the two of them. And then she took photos of some of the sex scenes. And I forgot, like, they're not graphic sexually, but they're implicit. Like, you know exactly what's going on. If you go to Chrissy Mayer's Twitter account, you'll see the pictures. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like, it's way more than I thought. Like it's right there. So if you want to go to Chrissy Mayer's Twitter account, and you can see she thought to take photos because she couldn't, and she did not like the film as I did not like the film, and we kind of echoed the same reasons. So it was, and I'm actually going to be on FNT Friday. I'm going to be on Friday Night Tights after we do our Friday morning show, and then I'm going to take a very long nap.
Yeah. So I find it interesting that they waited for you to turn on She-Hulk before they let you back on the show.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. Well, yeah. Well, also, exactly. There you go. No, they invited me a while back. They invited me a while back, and I kept putting it off. Like, I'm kind of busy. Like, what's the latest? So yeah, but there you go. Let's go to your chat comments and questions before we start with our reviews today. A Maggot says, well, they made 50K. Yes. Want to thank you. We are north of 50K. We're like 50 point. Where are we at, Alan?
We are. Of course, you asked me.
Yeah.
I'll get it. 50. Almost. We are 120 from 51,000.
So that's we appreciate it. Obviously, more and more people are discovering the show, and that's awesome. You know, more people here, more people in the Discord. We launched a Discord, and I can't help myself. I'm like,
you unleashed the beast, basically.
We launched the Discord. There was a whole like technical thing where like I logged in with two different accounts. One was the owner of the account. One was we worked it out. Alan's an admin. I'm an admin. We're looking for some mods. We got to create what our mod specs are. So we'll get some people modding it. But why did we do this? First of all, I love chatting. I love chatting with all of you. The thing is this, I'm just like, I got so many we have River, which is kind of like Discord for all the Film Threat folks. Like we all chat on that, talking about the website and business. It's all business. And the Discord is a lot of fun. So I have to say, really enjoyed chatting with a lot of you. And you can if you look at our community tab, you'll see, or I think actually the link is in the description to our Discord.
Oh, is it? Okay.
The invitation link is now one of the default pieces of text that appears in is it there, Alan?
I don't know. Also, I'm not sure if those links expire after a couple days.
Do they? I don't know. It seems like
I don't know either. Again, we're both learning Discord right now.
All right. Well, there you go. More of your chat comments and questions. Maggot goes on to say, time to make those big YouTube bucks. Yes. We're going to do our best. Patrick Lemire, I'll be a little sad if Film Threat YT gets to the level of pay to say during live streams. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of like other live streams that they get so big you just can't keep up, or they only do super chats. So we're gonna keep it, focused on super chats and members, and people who make just really good comments too. So yes, I want it to grow so I can have more of a life. When I have more of a life, I don't know. We're already talking about a third show. Is everybody ready? Says Infinite Main. Yes, last week I said on Friday I was going to go see RRR at it's the TCL Chinese. I keep wanting to call it the Man Chinese. It's the TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood. It was the best screening ever since I've been going. Saw it with my movie meetup group of friends, Britt, Tyler, the whole gang. Ram, everybody, Jason, Turtle, Zipper, we were all there, all having a good time. And I got to meet SS Rajamouli, the director, and he was surrounded by a group of people. Unfortunately, I didn't get to have much of a conversation with him. I just said, hey, thank you. I'm a huge fan, and I love what you've done with RRR. And the video is actually on our, I posted the video. So I think it's in the community and member tabs have like different videos, but if you go there, they're like these short videos. We actually posted shorts mainly because someone was holding the phone the wrong way. So I'm like, oh, forget it. We'll just make these shorts. But I got to meet him and it was great. And I got to see it on the big screen. People were dancing. I'm sure you've seen the videos. Look on the channel. Great. And Gestos, who's a member, thank you. Gestos, who's a member, thank you for that. Yeah, love this Film Courage videos, CG. Yeah, I did about 3 hours of new interviews about 10 days ago, and they kind of like little by little put them out. I've a Halloween themed one coming up that I think you really like.
By the way, yeah, SS recognized you. Is that my understanding?
He did. He recognized me from the videos. Oh, thank you for he just sort of thanked me for the support of the film. And then I got a picture and he went away. He was surrounded. I would have liked to have had a conversation with him. I hope he does more events. But yeah, let's raise some hell. Jeff Tucker, I'm with you. Hank VP, more Quantum Leap reviews. Stay strong, Alan. Hey, by the way, the reason Alan is continuing the Quantum Leap is because I had to go see Bros. And I find out now I'm like one of two people I know who's seen, well, the people we go with our movie meetup group, but Chrissy Mayer and I saw Bros. And she felt about it the same way that I did. And I think it coming from an interesting place. You should go watch the Chrissy Mayer channel. She talks about like she likes romantic comedies. What most women like romantic comedies, but what about this would appeal to women, right? So there you go. No one in the chat says congrats on the 50K subs. We appreciate it. We're halfway to our milestone of 100K. I want to get to 100K. Now we have a new goal. 100K. Let's get there.
Once we get that plaque, we're gonna quit.
That's it. It'll be over. Alan in the house. Pink Room rocks. Says Fletcher Williams.
I got more posters going up, so hopefully there'll be less pink coming.
This should be a new show on our channel.
Yeah. My people will love that title.
Says Fletcher Williams. Wait, what does it say? I can't read.
The Asian slant.
Okay.
I'll just call it nips and slants. How's that? I think we just took down the stream.
Well, there we are. Freedom Punk, loving the Film Threat Discord. So much fun. It's exactly what I needed. Yeah, it's a chance to, it's effectively everyone from the chat just goes to the Discord, keeps chatting and posting memes. I mean, the thing about the live chat on YouTube, it's not particularly robust. You can't really post links. You can't, post memes. So I'm really enjoying the Discord as like the continuing of the conversation. And I even posted a bunch of graphics that some of you sent in for potential merch. Speaking of Film Threat merch, go to shop.filmthreat.com. Alan's got our Halloween themed shirt. Check that out. Film Threat the 13th. Love it. Yeah, go to shop.filmthreat.com. And but it's just the Discord's a way to continue the conversation. Also a way to get feedback from you on a continuing basis. So I like that. Jackass 4 had the most peen I've ever seen on the big screen. I don't know if you meant for that to rhyme, Toxic Waltz N8, but it does. CD Stein, 69 for $4.99. Hail Chris Allen and the FD chat. Just a reminder, when the show's not on the new Film Threat Discord, chat is en fuego, on fire. Yeah, I took Spanish for 2 years in college. Retro Nerd Girl, thank you. Congrats on 50K. Wow, this channel has grown fast. We appreciate it. I just looked. In January 1st, 2022, we were 23,000 subs. So in less than a year, we've doubled. So hopefully the growth continues. Thank you, Retro Nerd Girl. Akanika, did he turn on She-Hulk or did she turn on him? See, she turned on me. She turned on me. I made you, you made me. Little exchange between Jack Napier and Bruce Wayne. I pity the fool that don't slap that like button, says Solomon Thornton. Yeah, this is a little reminder. Slap that like button. It gets, this video in the recommends. So the more likes, the better. Oh, wow. And Will Smith, potential Oscar nominee for this year with his new movie being put out by Apple TV Plus. I'm not joking. There's a Will Smith movie that's coming out. That's going to be on Apple TV Plus, and it is total Oscar bait.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll get nominated nor be at the Oscars next year.
There you go. Shireen, who's a member. Thank you, Shireeni. Alan is already making those big Disney bucks.
I've been making those for a long time.
Womp Biscuit saw Andor episode 5 today. I have to tip my hat to Disney. They're doing a good job with it. At least it's a lot better than most of their shows, except The Mandalorian. Immortal Remus. I've not seen Hellraiser yet, but from what I've heard, sounds promising. Do you think the producers sell themselves short by not having a theatrical run, especially during Halloween season? Yes, we'll get into it later, but this should have been a theatrical release. Big mistake. Same thing with Halloween, the new Halloween movie, Halloween Ends, with Jamie Lee Curtis. It opens next week on Peacock and in theaters. So, again, huge missed opportunities. No one in the chat says all the most viewed videos from Film Courage is from Chris. Yeah, it's so funny. Like, if I do videos on another channel, they blow up. If I just talk here to you on Film Threat, we don't get as many views. I don't understand it. Whether I'm on Film Courage or Midnight's Edge in the morning, and Midnight's Edge did a clip of I basically repeated a lot of things I said on this channel about bros, but I got kind of angry as I was thinking about the fact that, like, there's so many people in Hollywood that make content, for children that aren't parents, and that fact just, like, I got angry. I almost turned into Gore Hulk for a second there, but you can watch that video. Did anyone see the new Daredevil clip from She-Hulk? Says no one in the chat. I have not seen it.
If it's the one, I saw one at D23. I believe it's where they're on the roof. I would assume it's the same clip.
Gotcha.
But it's kind of like there's like the seriousness of Daredevil and then the snarkiness of Jen next to it. And it was like, all right, well, hopefully this will be more exciting.
We'll see if this works. By the way, my hair is still wet. My hair is still like sopping wet. When it comes to hair, I'm an air dryer. So there you go. Patrick Lemire, Alan's channel, The Plunger Games. Look, let's not get super caught up in all the All right. Yeah, there we go. She-Hulk is a victim of terrible writing, says Marby Dog. Seriously, Black 7, I watch Film Courage specifically for CG content. Yeah, you know what I thought about? I don't know how to do this. A lot of my videos, it's not, put aside the views for a second. It's the comments section is on fire because I do think that I kind of like push people's buttons, or I kind of just frankly say what a lot of people fear in a way. Like I think Hollywood is just sort of filled with fear, and a lot of people they just don't speak their minds on things. So one of the things I thought about doing is doing a live stream where I only address comments from the film videos. Might be kind of fun.
Yeah, we should do that.
Hell was here. Chris is the only sensible reviewer around YouTube platform. Well, I try to be balanced. This is why I don't like completely write off a show the first, or even like get positive, like She-Hulk. I was like, oh, positive after watching 4 episodes. 1 out of 4 was bad in my opinion. And then it's been downhill from there. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. I try to have a sober-minded view and not overreact to things, except when it's necessary. And then I actually do overreact. And maybe get a little heated. Slap that like button like the She-Hulk writer slaps Daredevil's legacy in the next episode, says no one in the chat. Thank you for that. Marby Dog, done with Will Smith. It just seems like way too quick of a return. He needed minimally a year off. And look, you know what? I'll bet the movie's good, and I'll bet he's good in it. I bet he's.
Yeah, I'll bet the movie was made before the event too.
No, it definitely was, and they were teeing him up for next year. And they are dumping it. My opinion is that they are dumping it. Guest is She-Hulk, more like she boring garbage. Am I right? Asian slant breaking news. Will Smith, a no at the Oscars, says Fletcher Williams.
I just have a feeling about it.
Seriously, Black 7, you're going to quit at 100K? The F you will. Okay, we're not going to quit at 100K. We're just going to
enjoy the plan.
Did you see when Red Letter Media got 1 million subs and they did a video about it, and their video was watching it go to 1 million, and then it went under 1 million, and then just going up over 1 million, and then under 1 million? It's very funny. I really love those guys. Infinite Main, Chris Gore angry rant. There may be one today. James Villanueva, hate giving Mouse any cheddar, but I have to for Hellraiser. We're going to discuss. A freaking IKEA chair. Yes, exactly.
I know.
Look,
I'm wondering if your rant's going to be about furniture.
A freaking IKEA chair. Okay. First of all, shout out to Glenuccio, who basically made Hurricane Ian his bitch. So I'm pretty sure Glenn was just drinking and hanging out and having fun. He's having fun. He made that video, and it's amazing, wildly talented. But here we go. Patrick Lemire, new trend, releasing movies that should be streamed to theaters, bros, streaming movies that should be in theaters, 13 Lives. I would also add Hellraiser. Halloween Ends, I think, should be in, it is in theaters, but yeah, you're right. No, there are movies where I'm like, oh, that would have been really good on streaming, but it's not a theatrical release. Yeah, they really can't seem to figure it out. You're right, Patrick. Creepy Clips. Whenever you talk about RRR, it sounds like Robin Williams' laugh from Mork and Mindy. Oh my God, that's right. Gabriel Quiroga. Hey, it's been so long, Gabriel. I was just talking to you when I was in my living room, and I dropped into Midnight's Edge this morning for like 20 minutes. Watched She-Hulk with girlfriend, and she enjoyed it. Didn't love it, though, and I did too then realize why I'm completely detached from Marvel while watching it. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think what this strategy is of basically taking the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe and making it about female-centric will be looked on as a huge mistake. A huge mistake on the level of not reuniting Han, Luke, and Leia in a Star Wars movie. The one thing all fans wanted to see. It's going to be, look, please add female characters into the into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Add them, please add them. Add more chairs to the table. Let's bring more people in. But that doesn't mean you need to get rid of. You don't need to exclude. So there you go. Spaceman says, Chris tells the truth. When fans do it, we're called ists and phobes. Never stop telling the truth, Chris. Well, thank you. I appreciate your support. When I'm surprised, like, and Chrissy Mayer asked me last night when we were chatting over DM, she said, are people coming after you? Like, are you like becoming like, no, I did the video. There's a video on, I mean, I think for the most part, people are, because I try to explain it. I try to give my reasoning. I'm just not going to say it sucks, right? It's like, here are the reasons it didn't work for me. And I think I was pretty clear about it. And then Jay Gar says, can I mail you an IKEA chair and a self-addressed envelope for you to sign, Chris? Yes, I will do it. Or you could just, maybe I'll just sign something and you could put it on the IKEA chair. Don't mail the chair. Save yourself the postage. But if you would like something for free, I'm going to check the mailbox this week, checking tomorrow. Send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to Film Threat, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036. Where is that? Where is it? It's somewhere here. No, it's not. Maybe Alan can make that. There it is. Love it. Love it. So yeah, I'll send you something back. I'll send you a sticker. I'll send you, if there's more, if you put a lot of postage in it, we've got keychains, little merch that's not in the shop, by the way, not in the shop. Haley Breddy, I stumbled upon your content on YouTube a few months ago, and I just have to say thank you for giving us amazing content and reviews without any of the woke or unnecessary bull crap. Very appreciated. Haley Breddy, thank you so much for your comment, and I appreciate it. It's so funny. It's the number one question we always get, like, is it woke? If so, how woke? And I think I was talking on, if you could turn off the scrolling one, Alan, I don't have it for some reason. You know, like, I think one of the things that's happened, we've got the lowest box office in 25 years at the movie theater. You know, in August, September, it's just been dwindling. I think we'll get a bump when Black Adam and Wakanda Forever come out. But you know, I think at this point, people lost the habit of going to the movies. And now, as they've returned to the movies, it's like they see the trailers. Everything is sort of preachy stuff. They go to the movies, and it's sort of mixed. Some good experiences. There are good movies out there. Barbarian probably being one of the best that's currently in theaters, you know, along with the retro stuff like Avatar and E.T. and Jaws. But, you know, I think that it's one of those things. If you keep going to a restaurant and the food is bad, do you stop going to the restaurant? I think so. So no one in the chat says, can you comment on the new Black Panther Wakanda Forever trailer or do a reaction video to that trailer? We will do it at the end of the show because we've just got too much other stuff to get to. Yeah. And we haven't even started our first review and we're almost 30 minutes in. But we'll do that. No one in the chat. Halloween should have ended in 78. I hate to say, but like, you know, look, your mileage may vary. There's some good and bad ones. And there you go.
There's just too much money on the table.
That's it. I mean, it's a franchise, right? Gonzalo Bergali, The Angry Rant is on Midnight's Edge Archives. Maybe you can grab that, Alan, and pop it in the Midnight's Edge Archives channel. It's got like, it kind of blew up to like 50,000 views now, and like over a 500.
For Bros? You're ranting about Bros?
I'm ranting about Bros. I love how Akanika calls me out. Wilshire. Look, not a lot of people know. Not a lot of people know how to spell Wilshire Boulevard.
No one ever says Wilshire. It's Wilshire.
Wilshire.
For my entire life, it's been Wilshire Boulevard.
It's called enunciating, Alan. It's called enunciating.
No, it's called enunciating for the sake of spelling.
Well, that's true. Womp Biscuit says going to the movies is incredibly expensive now, though. So I get why people don't. Womp Biscuits agree. Look, I can justify it because how do I tell you about these movies if I don't see these movies? If I'm going to talk about Bros, I want to be informed. I want to see it. Okay. So that I feel I'm, you know, I just feel qualified to talk about it if I've seen it. Okay. So it's $25. It's cheaper in other places. I think it's like $19.99, but it's like basically $25 and I can see 3 movies a week. And I minimally see 1 movie a week, sometimes 6 or more. So I get my use out of the AMC A-list membership.
Yeah. I'm actually subscribed to both the AMC and the Regal.
You got to cut one, Alan. You got to cut.
I know. My problem is the Regal is really down the street from my house, and if I want to see really good movies, I have to keep that AMC one going.
Gotcha. Yeah. Freedom Punk, hot take here, but Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is one of the best in the series. Freedom Punk, you're not the first person I've heard say that. So, yeah.
And better than the first? Is that what we're saying?
The first is always going to be the best to me. PJ Souls, so many great moments. The music, I saw it in a theater when I was a kid. Scared the living crap out of me. I used to go to drive-ins, the Oak Drive-In in Royal Oak, Michigan. I stole, true story, I stole a movie theater speaker when the Oak Drive-In Theater in Royal Oak, Michigan closed, and I painted it chrome, and it's sitting behind me. There, look. Okay, this is also something terrible that I am a klepto when it comes to going to certain places. If it doesn't specifically say, like, if I'm at a hotel and I see like, oh, that's a cool set of salt and pepper shakers, I could use new ones. I'm not advocating any of my behavior. In fact, I'm embarrassed by it. But after the Oak Drive-In closed, I stole, it's metal. They would hang, you would take them, they were connected at with a little speaker wire here. And you would hang it, you'd roll down your window a little bit, you'd hang the speaker like this, and here's the volume control. Wonder if I could get this thing working. And it says on it, I don't know if you can see, there's like a little sort of instruction. You can't really see it all that well. I'll have to take, I'll post pictures on our community tab, but I stole this from the Oak Drive-In. So there you go. And Aaron Rosenfield says, I'd hate to see how he says La Cienega.
He can't say it.
La Cienega. See, now you screwed me up, Aaron. But thank you.
La Cienega.
You know what? I just love hanging out with friends, and we tease each other and bust each other's balls. Male or female, doesn't matter. We just rip on each other and have fun. So I appreciate that. Want Biscuits. We normally go to an old theater near where we live that was built in the 1930s. That's what they used to call a movie palace back in the day. There's a really good documentary that is directed by a woman named April Wright, Wright. Look it up, and it's about, I want to say it's called Going Attractions, and it's about movie palaces. Yeah. But look up April Wright and look up that movie. I believe it played on AMC. Yeah, it did play on AMC. Yeah. Really great documentary about old movie palaces and how some have tried to restore them, but they just don't economically work because most of these things had, like, the seating was almost 1,000 plus people, like 2,000 seats. You can't fill a theater like that anymore on a consistent basis. Then they kind of turned into like places where they show exploitation movies. They kind of evolved. Then they turned it so they got run down. Then it would be like, okay, they have concerts there, punk rock concerts, and there you go. So
it's called Going Attractions, the definitive story of the movie palace. And
great doc.
Speaking of April Wright, I believe we will be with her in 2 weeks at the Frida Cinema.
Absolutely. Yeah, we should promote this. We're doing a monthly screening series at the Frida Cinema in Santa Ana, California. Either myself or Alan will be there. We'll be doing giveaways. You might win yourself a Film Threat pint glass, which we actually don't even sell these. But
if anything, you could win a cup of water.
A cup of water or a sticker. But yeah, no, we're going to be doing it, and we're hosting a screening called Back to the Drive-In, which is her sequel to her other drive-in documentary. It's a documentary that was made during the pandemic because how did the theatrical experience stay alive? A lot of drive-ins. I went to the Vineland Drive-In, which is now closed. The Vineland just closed, and it looks like the Mission Tiki is in danger of closing as well. It's unfortunate.
It's not in danger of closing. It will close sometime soon.
Lord Thoth, as a law enforcement officer, I cannot be associated with Film Threat. Lord Thoth, thank you for your service. Why can't you be associated with us? Because I steal things. That's right. But I you know what's so funny? I've done this at my local bar, the 35er in Pasadena. I'm like, kind of really like this Coors Light pint glass. And I know they get them free, and I will just pop it in my back pocket and walk out. They don't even care. But you know what else I do? I will take Film Threat pint glasses. I'll bring them with me. I'll put them on like the little bar ledge, and then I'll see later people are drinking using them. So I know I kind of justify it in my mind. This is like petty, like little, like what? Stealing a salt and pepper shaker? Come on. A lot of these things are cheap. They just match my decor. The Tomb of Dracula says, Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween to you, Turo. Chris's dining room chairs are from IKEA. He stole them from the Obi-Wan Star Wars set. No, they're so cheap I wouldn't even steal them.
I know. Plus, you could build furniture out of the surplus Riva lightsabers they produce.
Fletcher Williams, Gore's been caught stealing when he was 5. Alan steals our hearts.
Aww.
Says, I'm trying to catch up with these. Says, Alan only steals our hearts, says VDR. And Freedom Punk says, Michael Myers' story was originally supposed to end with 2, but Season of the Witch bombed so bad they brought Myers back. Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, let's get into it, Alan.
All right.
Let's get into it. Because I had to see Bros. You now have to watch Quantum Leap.
Yeah. Actually, I think I got the better end of the deal. This week's episode was actually not that bad. And I will say not that bad. Okay.
So tell us, this is episode 3 of Quantum Leap.
Right.
You kind of lost a bet. No, I lost the bet.
You lost the bet. You definitely lost the bet.
I definitely lost the bet, but tell us.
Actually, you had an okay time watching episode 3 of Quantum Leap. I think, my biggest complaint was that it was, the show is kind of split between, Ben here going on his adventure, dropping himself into a body of another person, trying to right what once went wrong. And they split it between that and this kind of, the whole technology. Why is Ben leaping? What was wrong with his code? What does Al's daughter have to do with this? And this one definitely leaned more toward the more traditional episode. He leaps into the body of a boxer. In the timeline, the boxer loses the fight in like 2 rounds and loses a championship fight in 2 rounds. And then he goes off into obscurity. And so he has to figure out how to do it. Ben's not a boxer. So Addison, who is kind of the warrior of the team, she has to teach him how to box. And this is where it kind of gets interesting. She uses her holographic technology to basically help him shadow box, so he can hit her, so to speak, or do the moves. And and to me, this is kind of like what the original Quantum Leap was about. It was about Ben having to figure out how to get through this puzzle to where he can ultimately leap. And so I would say, instead of spending half the time doing that, they spend about 80% of the time, and then a little bit of time dealing with what Al's daughter is doing. There's kind of a conspiracy going on there, which actually I'm starting to find kind of interesting. So I think this is probably the episode that feels more like a Quantum Leap episode of old. Now, I have gone back, and I should stop doing this, but I went back to the comments of the Quantum Leap video we posted a while ago, and I don't know that I'm in the minority position, but I always felt like Quantum Leap was about Sam leaping into, or whoever leaping into, the body of someone else, trying to figure out where their life went wrong, put it right, and then leap again. And to me, that was the series. It was like Gilligan's Island. You were less concerned about the Gilligan and the gang getting off the island, but it was about that adventure. And I'm finding a lot of people are not in that camp, and that they do like the backstory. They do like the idea of what's going on, where I could more or less care less about it. And the nice thing about the way they did it in the past was you could watch the show in any order that you want. You could watch an episode and not care what season it was or what episode it was. And And so, yeah, that's kind of where most of the criticisms I see about, my take on Quantum Leap. The other thing I'll add is what made the original great, I think, was just Sam and Al itself, Scott Bakula, Dean Stockwell, their chemistry. It was about two friends trying to help each other out. I'm not saying that you needed to recreate that for the reboot, the Ben Addison thing, them being lovers. I'm willing to give it time. But I just don't get the camaraderie aspect of it that I got with Sam and Al. So hey, this week we got a good one. I'll say that. I feel like next week we're going back to the conspiracy, the technology, the what all this leaping is, and I'm not too hopeful about next week. But again, since I'm stuck, since I'm stuck like Ben, we'll continue on and see how it goes. But this was actually a really good episode. I enjoyed it.
But it took like 3 episodes to get started. I feel like these modern television is, and look, I watched Andor today. We should talk about Andor because
I haven't seen it yet, but yeah,
I have seen it. Okay, so we'll talk about it, but they don't know how to grab you at the beginning. With the last thing that I think about, House of the Dragon, it didn't 100% grab me with the first episode, but I didn't hate it, and I'm like, oh wait, I actually want to keep watching. I didn't feel that way with Rings of Power, and
we complained about She-Hulk being the same way. She-Hulk, it didn't start on a good footing.
It started on an episode that should have been in the middle of the show, and then it didn't even really come into what is the format of the show. People like familiarity. That's why shows like Quantum Leap work so well. That's why classic Star Trek: The Next Generation, or classic Star Trek for that matter, was so successful, is because, okay, I know by the end of this show, the main conflicts will be wrapped up. What's a new and sort of modern invention, what's actually not technically modern if you count, old movie serials like Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, among others, that sort of season-long storytelling, or what they call long-form storytelling.
Serial
storytelling, like that, okay, so that's not, but God, get into a format so people kind of know. It's what's the court case this week? What's the B story? How does this impact the larger picture? Does it tie in the Marvel universe in some way, or explain something that went unexplained in the Marvel universe? And I do think that She-Hulk, for me, is one of the biggest missed opportunities, at least for Disney Plus, for television. Right? It's the format that they created could have been a show, and they could have, and I did not read these comics, the original She-Hulk comics, where she was sort of, in this battle with the mob. That could have been really interesting, where she's got to balance a life, do her job, deal with superhero related cases, but then there's she has other threats, and it should have, there's times for jokes and there's times for taking it more seriously. And I feel like and a lot of the modern television, I just think it comes down to the writers and the writers' room, and perhaps more inexperienced people in the writers' room.
You know what it is? More and more, you realize that the studios don't understand what audiences want. With Bros, and especially Billy Eichner's comments about Bros, there's this assumption that if we make a movie, you will come and see it, and then if you don't, you're racist, you're homophobe in this case. But the thing is, most people will see these stories. It's just, you've got to understand who your audience is and write stories to that audiences. It's always been that way from the beginning of time. That's how stories worked. Just because you have one and that you want to tell, it doesn't mean you're entitled for everyone to go out, spend money, and see it. And that's the problem. She-Hulk should be a much better show than it is, but they're dealing with stupid law cases. Law cases that are just inconsequential, and it has nothing to do with what what we young boys read comic books for. We read She-Hulk, but who, yeah. Rose is for a gay audience, and even the gay audience didn't show up.
Exactly. We can't even get we're going to get a review on the website, right? Of Bros.
Yeah. Oh, on the Bros eventually. That means
who's doing it, Alan?
Yeah. Well, I need to find someone who'll go watch it.
We can't literally our gay writers at Film Threat don't want to see it, because the way we kind of work with Film Threat writers is it's sort of a very laissez-faire. It's like, here are the movies that need to be reviewed. Choose what you like, because we have more than double the amount of submissions coming in than we're capable of handling. We just have too many. Okay. So we leave it up to the writers that gravitate towards what they would like to review.
Yeah, I will say our gay writers more than happy to write about gay dramas, gay comedies. For some reason, gay comedies it's just not appealing to people.
What about Roadhead? That's a gay comedy horror.
Well, I don't think I think that went to one of our straight writers, and they liked it.
I liked it as well. I interviewed one of the actors from it. Let me also just say, with regard to She-Hulk is it did start out interesting in the sense that the first court case was about Emil Blonsky.
Yeah.
And should Abomination, the person who embodies Abomination, so to speak, learn to control that power, and should he be able to leave now after having been rehabilitated? That was interesting because it could be real.
Yeah.
And these other, like Titania owning She-Hulk's copyright is stupid. That's dumb.
Well, that was it. I mean, Emil Blonsky, that was a criminal case, while now She-Hulk is dealing with all these civil cases. And with Wong and and Donnie Blaze, who owns the copyrights of magic. I'm like, I liked that storyline only because of Madison, but there's no depth behind it. There's no stakes behind these things, and that's what you expect in a superhero comic book.
Exactly. Let me go to the chat here, but I think that the She-Hulk show should have taken itself more serious. To me, it's a bust.
It was a missed opportunity. It was absolutely a missed opportunity.
Huge missed opportunity. The reality of the real Marvel universe and what court cases could evolve is way more interesting than what they came up with. And it had such potential. There could have been just blip related cases that were taken seriously. Like, what are the property rights of someone who blipped away 5 years ago, comes back and says, well, I own that property. What happened to the property and someone's estate after they blip? Did they get their bank account back? Did the money blip back? There is just, when you start going down a rabbit hole of just look at the Marvel universe and things that occurred, real things that occurred in the Marvel universe, what are the repercussions of that in the real world? Right. But we've got to wait. $100 super chat. Whoa.
Oh, Enrico Palazzo. I know.
What? Enrico, first of all, I met Enrico. I'll read the super chat. Chris, I had a Chaplin figure at the Vegas meetup. I'm trying to convince my niece all she needs to know as a parent she can learn from the reruns of The Rifleman. Help. Well, there's a lot of shows that have good parenting values. The problem is they're all older shows. They're literally, I can't think of any modern show that has good parenting values. And Enrico, thank you for that Chaplin figure. It is in my patio area. I attached it to a lemon tree and it looks really cool. I'll take a picture and I'll post it on the community chat. Thank you for the $100. That's great. Yeah. I mean, look here, I'll give you my parenting advice. It could fit in a pamphlet. Here you go. You ready? It's going to be so simple when you hear it. You'll be like, oh, one, kids like boundaries. And so in order to give them boundaries, you need to do what you say you're going to do. So what I'm saying is you need to make your kids accountable and you need to stick to the punishment. Here's what I see modern parents, the mistakes they make is they're too lazy to enforce any sort of repercussions towards a rule. What are some of the rules? You can only play video games for a certain number of hours. In order to get said snack, you need to finish all your homework. You need, to earn this reward, you've got to mow the lawn or do the dishes, whatever it is. It's very simple. So if as a parent you make a guideline or a rule, you always, never not, always stick to that rule. That's it. And then when your kids realize like, they mean business, It actually means something. And then what you do, this is going to sound awful for me to say it, but dads will understand. There needs to be a healthy amount of fear. And by fear, I mean fear of disappointing your parents. And now I think a lot of kids I see today think of their parents as a joke. And it's because they don't keep their word. They don't keep promises. Mm-hmm. They don't hold their kids accountable. And there isn't that healthy amount of fear. When I was a kid, I didn't want to disappoint my parents. That's not a, some people will say, oh, well, like this kind of family. And this is like, no, that's just parenting 101, right? You put your kids in a position, they respect you. They know that when you say something, you mean it. And then one of my greatest fears, I didn't want to disappoint my mother and my father. If you can make your kids feel that, you're gonna have decent kids. Yeah, you're gonna have decent kids. Not
when my daughter was 7. When my daughter was 7, we had a 3-hour battle of wills, and it was at that moment in time where I realized I have to win this one. There's absolutely no way she's gonna win it.
Yeah, well,
and from that 3-hour battle, our relationship has been great. We understand each other, and
it's important as the parent. You always have to sometimes the because I said so, that's the card you get to pull out, because I said so. Otherwise, if kids do what they want, they'll have ice cream for dinner. They won't do homework. They'll play video games forever, and they'll turn out to be shitty people, really shitty people. And the thing I'm really proud of is both of my kids are they're good to other people. They know how to treat other people. I think, I don't know. They learned respect is effectively what the lesson is. Enrico Palazzo, thank you so much for that. And it was a pleasure meeting you at the F&T meetup in Vegas. Hopefully we'll get to meet again sometime. I'm going to go through these comments quick because we have I don't know we're going to be able to get to all these comments.
We need to get to,
Captain Cook, with the word about how poorly Disney's treating Blade, another horror property, I can't imagine Werewolf by Night was done well. We're going to talk about Werewolf by Night in about 3 minutes. After we get through these,
but just what's happening with Blade is, it's like, Marvel needs a slap in the face and get back to what they used to do.
The Marvel brand is tarnished. It's not.
They need clean house. They need the clean house.
It's not as special as it used to be. It used to be there's we're only going to get 2 Marvel movies this year. It meant something. Now, wait a month. There's something Marvel, either a movie or a Disney Plus show. It's too much. It's diluted the brand, and it's diluted the brand with lesser characters that aren't as widely known or they're not as widely popular.
But the thing is, they could have made them popular. I mean, they
could have made them popular.
We talked about She-Hulk. There's so much potential in not only the character, but the actress behind the character, and they're just failing with these stories that the stories that they've been producing out of it.
Yeah, but the director of the new Blade just dropped off the movie because he was frustrated with the script and Disney's treatment of the IP. I'm sure that they were going to make it PG-13, no matter what they say. John Manilang, always good to hear from you, sir. Can't wait for the next episode when Ben leaps and becomes Alan. That can happen.
Interesting.
It can happen. I hear, the one thing I do hear, the lead actor is very good. He's likable.
Yeah, I don't have any complaints. It's just the dynamic between him and Addison are one of lovers. She knows that he doesn't know it, that they were once lovers. But so there's a dynamic there that you don't get with basically friends like Sam and Al, like really good friends from a long time. But I'll give it a chance. We'll see where it goes.
Kelpie, more focus on the Leap story, less on the modern day stuff is the right direction.
Absolutely.
Turo, so then the girl teaches the guy how to fight. Ugh.
Okay, well, I mean, to their credit, they used it in a way that made sense, and that there's a payoff during the fight, during the fight training, that's kind of important. So I thought they at least put a good spin on it.
Tony Bauer says Scott and Dean's chemistry was magic. Patrick Lemire, Gilligan's Island, everyone died in the shipwreck. They're in purgatory. Gilligan, the devil in red, thwarting their ability to move on. Professor not repairing boat, unlimited wardrobe explained. Yeah, dude, that would be great if they did that as like a horror movie, kind of like how they redid the Banana Splits. Go look up the Banana Splits movie. They could do something like that. That's great. Ghost Crusaders for 5. Thank you for that. Theorizing that one can time travel within his own lifetime. Why reboot it if you can't stay within the original lore? Episode 3, a story was good.
Yeah, they broke out of that in this episode.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you notice in the opening narration, the phrase that they pulled out of that opening narration was putting right what once went wrong. That's not in the lore of the story anymore. Which that was the series. That was why that show existed.
Alan Horkins says, saw a video from Belisario on Ars Technica from about a year ago. He said if he was going to do Quantum Leap again, he'd do it the same, focused on the characters and the stories. I don't know why tried and true formulas. Sure, you want to update things. Wardrobe, technology, music, pop culture references. I get it. Classic storytelling, which is why we're still watching shows from the 60s and 70s. In 1966, the latter half of the 60s was a golden age of TV.
Twilight Zone,
Outer Limits,
Alfred Hitchcock Presents,
Lost in Space, original Star Trek, Batman, Adam West television series. So many great shows from the 60s. That was just amazing. But you're right. If you just stick to that core, then the other stuff, you can update other stuff. Fine. I'm cool with that. Right. But God, like the core, the backbone, the spine of a story, it's always the same.
Yeah, and you know, the original Quantum Leap, it dealt with what I guess at that time were woke topics, and they did it in such a way that it brought appreciation to it, made you think about those topics in a deeper way. And I'm not sure that the show is going to be able to handle the woke topics in that way.
Patrick Carpenter for 5 says, going to fly to Burbank and steal all the Film Threat glasses from the 35er. Look, you could do that. What's funny is when I'll go to the bar and I'll see someone drinking a Film Threat. They don't care. They're all like weird. They're all promo. These things are given to the bars as promo to promote certain types of alcohol, right? So, but I'll do you one better, Patrick. You send me a self-addressed envelope. You could send me one of those priority mail ones flat. Put enough postage on it. I'll mail you one. Remind me of our conversation here. I'll send you one. Just send me a self-addressed envelope. I'll put a bunch of I'll put DVDs and other stuff in there too.
You're going to put a glass in an envelope? And
well, no, it fits in it's the sort of medium box.
Okay.
Medium box priority mail. I think it's like $16. And I'll do that for you, Patrick, only for you. And there you go. Dempsey. Bros, this isn't for you. Don't see it. Also, bros, you're a bigot if you don't see it. Also, bros, why didn't you come see it? Wah! No sweat off my back.
It amazes me that Billy Eichner didn't realize that straight people weren't going to go see the movie. You know, the entitlement. I made a movie. Everyone has to see it. And then no one sees it. Infinite
Main, She-Hulk should be about regular people suing superheroes. Certainly cases that it would have been interesting. Think of all that, the Batman television series, 1966, Adam West. Every week was a celebrity villain. There were so many celebrities on that show. Even the celebrities that weren't necessarily villains, but when Batman and Robin would climb up the side of a building and they'd have someone open the door and there's Sammy Davis Jr. or something like that. Like, I love it. Like,
they're climbing up the wall and then someone comes out the window.
Yeah, no, like they had cameos. It was fun. People wanted to be on the show. It was a pop culture sensation at the time. I do an Instagram called Bat Chris Gore. I'm that Chris Gore on all social media, but I started one called Bat Chris Gore, and I just post rare, weird Batman pictures. Sometimes some things from my personal collection, a lot of things that I find. I have a friend of mine that sends me a lot of pictures of the Batmobile, and I just post them one a day. Go to Instagram, look up Bat Chris Gore. Look it up. But yeah, that would have been great. I don't understand why they can't find a formula, make it work. Mr. Smith, She-Hulk should have been a superhero. Boston Legal would have been great. I falsely assumed, Mr. Smith, that that's what it was going to be based on the first 3 episodes. The 4th episode went off the rails to me, that dumb date episode. And then I was like, well, at least it's a promising beginning. And then, other people kind of saw the writing on the wall. I am a person who I'm an optimist. I like to, I like to like to prejudge something before I see it. Like, well, what if it's really good? What if the marketing is lying? Which happens these days. You know, they promote something as being far more woke in the press interviews and in the trailers than the movie ends up actually being. But yeah, you're right. Would have been great had they done that. By the way, 458 people are in the chat right now. 460. It's going up. Hey, smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. You know why? Our reviews are delicious.
Holy fucking shit, these reviews are delicious.
Now you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, folks. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
Gabriel Quiroga for 2. She-Hulk is trying to be Harvey Birdman, but failing. That would have been good. Just people want familiarity, right? Like they want to, like, especially when it comes to television or a legal procedural. They blew it. They blew it. This sort of side plot with like people on some Reddit 4chan thing trying to assassinate her. Like it's not all that interesting. They needed a more diverse writer's room. And by diverse, I mean as many men as women, right? Right now, they brag about the fact that it's mostly women. That's what's hurting the show.
I think it's all women. It feels like it's written by all women.
It's all women with a lot of self-inserts. And I don't mean that in a vile way. I don't mean that with any sort of double entendre. When I say self-insert and all women in the writer's room, what I mean by that is that they're putting things from their personal lives. They're things that have happened to them, experiences. They put it directly in the show to make it about them, which is incredibly narcissistic. War Monkey, a restaurant hires a bad cook and they lose customers. The cook gets fired. Hollywood hires a bad writer and loses fans to a popular IP, and they get rehired for the next project.
And then they blame the customers and they say the customers don't know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're a bigot because you don't like my spaghetti.
If you don't like my spaghetti, then don't eat here.
Yeah. If you don't like my spaghetti, don't eat it.
Peace.
It does make one wonder, says War Monkey. Oh my God. My movie is playing next week, actually. A week from this Saturday, October 15th at the Tucson Film Festival. It is a screening of Attack of the Doc. It's going to be unfurling in front of an audience. We're final testing it out, seeing if people like it. War Monkey, superheroes have secret identities to avoid accountability for the destruction they cause to private and public property. Yeah, it would be interesting if, and they kind of like have done away with that in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, only Spider-Man has a secret identity.
Yeah, like, it seems like they just know secret identities. They got rid of it just because it's a thing that, like, I think we've seen it in so many superhero movies that, like, they don't want to deal with it. I mean, you know, the Fantastic Four never had secret identities. They were all just nicknames. Mr. Fantastic. By the way, I have a Detroit Lions jersey that says Mr. Fantastic on the back of it, and it's number 4, Jason Hansen, the old kicker for the Detroit Lions. No one appreciates that but me. All right. Valerie Walker, She-Hulk should have been a lighter version of Daredevil. I think seeing her take superhero lawsuits that tie into the MCU would be interesting. Lawyer at day, She-Hulk at night. Yeah, she doesn't care about... That's a thing that has made me dislike. I mean, I get at the beginning, she's sort of it's what they call in storytelling with Joseph Campbell, the refusal of the call. Meaning, you should go out there and save the world. I can't save the world. I just can't. And then a hero walks away. And then the hero learns a lesson and comes back and then saves the world. And She-Hulk hasn't done that yet.
Yeah.
She hasn't done that in the show. She hasn't followed the hero's myth. And so when I saw in the early episodes, she doesn't want to be a superhero. That's how every superhero starts, is not wanting to do that. Not wanting to step up to the mantle. So, yeah, that would have, yes, Valerie, I wish you were on the writing staff, right? You really got to, sometimes you have to divorce yourself from your personal tastes, wants, desires, and think about the audience. That's what good writers do. They think less about themselves and the experience of the writers in.
They probably thought to themselves that this is a feminist tale, and so we need to make it about feminism. Just like Ms. Marvel was a Muslim tale. And I think once you take the label and make that your story, you're losing everything, and you're making characters that are hard to relate to at that point. They should just be people who happen to be a female lawyer who gets powers, or a teenager who is Muslim who now has to cope with her new powers. But it's about the label, the identity.
Well, Want Biscuits, Alan's dog has almost mastered the art of the photo. So there you go. And Anonymous, the writers of She-Hulk are the lowest tier. Patrick Lemire, refusal of the call is what writers have, the viewers have done. True. Culture Casino. Culture, what are you doing here? You guys are wrong. Bros is a masterpiece. It's a deep dive into Billy Eichner's self-image, self-loathing, and selfishness. It tells you all you need to know. Watch the film, bigots. Well, Culture, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I want to start. And Culture Casino just became a member. That's awesome. Culture, that's great. Check out the members tab. We got some special stuff in there for you. CD Stein, 69 for $9.99. Self-insertion seems to be the problem with modern day film, TV, and comics. The fact that these corporations are hiring strictly on the basis of diversity is also another huge problem. You know, I talked about that today, I don't blame the people who espouse themselves as social justice warriors or espouse certain values. Like, I don't blame them. What I blame are the people that are in charge, because they've always, as far as I'm concerned, they've always been around. Look, there was a communist party that was on my college campus at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan in the 80s when I went to college. Okay. This has always been around, but it's been successfully, until recently, successfully contained in academia. All of these bad ideas that don't translate in real life, right? Or that just don't resonate. These ideas do not resonate, I would argue. They don't resonate on a mass scale, and they were always contained in academia. Now you've got a group of middle management and higher ups that fear this new generation coming in and want to placate and acquiesce to their terrible ideas, rather than going with your gut and your own experience, having been in the industry for decades. And so these ideas have now leaked from academia into mainstream entertainment, comics, movies, all of it. Yeah. Literally laying waste and destroying things. So
and the other thing is their inability to look at the past and understand why these things work, why these stories have worked for so long. And then we're just giving them the chance without being able to give them criticism, because criticism is racism.
Lord Thoth became a member. Thank you, Lord Thoth. Thank you, Lord. Infinite Main, the writers don't have any life experience, thus they only write the reality they've created in their own minds. You're right, Infinite Main. That was made very clear in an issue of a recent Robin comic book. You can look this up, where most of the comic is Dick Grayson. It's not Dick Grayson. It's a different Robin. Is it? I forget which Robin, but it's one of the Robins. One of the Robins in this Robin comic book has a boyfriend. I guess he's bisexual. I don't know. But for a lot of the comic, they're sitting around talking and drinking coffee. So they say write what you know. And I think that I would argue also that Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 1, George Lucas wrote what he know. He was having a lot of meetings for 20 years before he wrote the Star Wars prequels. Just calling it out, because that movie, the first movie, which I actually look fondly back on, there's a lot of meetings. The movie starts with like 3 meetings back to back.
Hey, did you get to Deano's super chat, by the way?
I'm about to, yeah.
Okay.
Immortal Remus, I'm half Pakistani and atheist, and I absolutely hate Kamala Khan as a character, and so do all my female cousins from Pakistan who are Muslim too, so their relate to strategy is BS. Yeah. Thank you, Immortal Remus.
That's the first time I heard that.
I agree. Yeah, I just think that characteristics of a character that you can relate to really don't have necessarily a lot to do with immutable characteristics, right? Whatever your ethnicity is. And people have sort of, varying levels of, look, I have friends of mine who are Jewish that are non-practicing, that they get Christmas trees. I just learned that they're called Christmas tree Jews. That is a thing that exists. So I don't know. I just think that there are certain characteristics that make a character relatable, and that, although the thing that worked actually for me with Ms. Marvel, I only watched like the first 2 episodes or 3 episodes, were the family dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
The family dynamics kind of worked. It was just like, oh, is this a family show? And then the superhero stuff was stupid. Channel Surf became a new member. Thank you for that. Turo says, loving it when Chris speaks truth so loudly. All right, let's have less of these that say nice things about me. See, now they're just
yes,
people
please.
in chat. They're going to put in chat comments that rip me. So just don't overreact to that. We've only done 1 review in an hour. We can't do that. 218, do these studios not go out and find some super fans, experts to give input as consultants, advisors, same as you would with a historical advisor, or the writers just do the Cole's notes thing? I don't know what they do. They would be wise. I mean, look, with my movie, I've showed it to a lot of different people. I've showed my documentary Attack of the Doc to a lot of different people, friends of mine who are doc filmmakers who've never heard of Attack of the Show, people who have heard of Attack of the Show. We've gotten notes from many sources to make the best movie that we possibly can. So there you go. Self-insertion can work if it's skillful. George Lucas, Luke. Patrick Lemire. Great comment.
I think streaming has made the studios less fearful of failure.
Yeah, because it almost like there's no stakes. Like if it fails, it's like, whatever, we've got another show. And that should not be the way. That's why most things on streaming are just okay. They're meh. They're 5s. 5 out of 10. Most streaming shows. I've heard that like Netflix has a formula for that. Not the shows don't all have to be great. They just have to hit like a little. They just have to be good enough. Good enough. We have almost 500 people watching right now. Thank you for that.
The other thing is that when you have, when you used to do episode to episode, maybe you were 3 episodes ahead of yourself, which meant that you're able to course correct as the season goes on. But now that you're doing an entire season at one time, you have no feedback, and therefore you're stuck. You're stuck for 12 episodes or whatever.
Exactly. That feedback loop used to exist. You would start a season of a TV show. It would begin to air. You'd still be in the middle of the show. Mm-hmm. You used to see which characters were most popular, and you could course correct. And so the show was being made as people were seeing it. That feedback loop and being responsive is incredibly important. All the Disney Plus shows have been made in a vacuum with no feedback whatsoever, except for other executives. Deano for €10. Is that pounds or euros? I always know pounds. Sorry about that, Deano. Pounds. 10 pounds. I'll get it. I need a legend right here. Remember when people who created and wrote law shows had actually been lawyers? Yeah. David E. Kelly, Terry Louise Fisher, or at least had advisors. Yeah, very important. I don't know why. Mr. Smith became a member. Thank you for that. And 218 says, oops, Cole's Notes is Canadian, called Cliff Notes in the US. I kind of thought you meant Cliff Notes. Thank you for that, 218. And TT, last comment here. TT, She-Hulk had a winning formula. The comic went on for years. Mm-hmm. All they had to do was stick to that formula.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let's get into it. We're going to change our, and look, while we're sitting around here, I'm going to be changing the brand. Just like watch this little, I saw RRR last weekend. And one of the things about that is it's an Indian film with subtitles. Subtitles can turn some people off. They just can. They can turn people off. So here is a little public service announcement about subtitles and the dangers of seeing foreign films.
Cool up here in the balcony.
Totally. Hey, what's this about this movie being in another language?
Yeah, you have to read what they're saying.
Sounds pretty weird. I'm gonna go get some popcorn.
Okay.
Excuse me, sorry. You are precious.
Subtitles. They're not just un-American. They kill.
All right, that was an old promo for Film Thread. So there you go. All right, we're going to talk about Werewolf by Night now. I think it's time. You know what it is? It's showtime.
It's showtime.
Okay.
That was
Alan, you and I both saw Werewolf by Night.
Yes.
This was directed. Did you notice who directed this movie?
Yes, I do know. He was at D23 when they talked about this.
Yes, Michael Giacchino.
Giacchino, yeah.
Giacchino. Michael Giacchino, who has done some. I thought the Batman film score was great. He also did the original 2009 Star Trek. J.J. Abrams. One of the things about that movie that I thought was very good was the score. Thought the score was good. Can't really critique it. He is mainly a film composer, and he directed this. Now, it's not a movie. It's a 50-minute or so little story.
They're proclaiming it as a Halloween special.
Right. And we won't get into spoilers too much, but I'll give you my broad impressions of it, is that I actually really enjoyed this. Mm-hmm. One, I thought Michael Giacchino can direct. That I don't think is a surprise. I thought that the casting was very good. This is hopefully not a spoiler for some of you, but Man-Thing is in it. I used to read Man-Thing comics when I was a kid, and it's a accurate to the comics looking Man-Thing, a little too digital for me. The other thing that struck me that I really love about this, it felt like, because it wasn't like 2 hours, or it felt like an episode of The Twilight Zone. Did you get that vibe, Alan? Like a Twilight Zone or an Outer Limits?
Yeah, Outer Limits, more like Alfred Hitchcock. I don't think there was a message behind it per se.
No.
That you would associate with Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, there's not some overriding message, and there's nothing particularly woke about it that I observed. I just thought it was a simple horror story. It's not. I'm trying to think. Is it really? I don't think it's R-rated, but it's borderline. Someone gets their arm chopped off. Which is,
yeah, but no blood.
Yeah, but what I liked is it was in black and white. And the way that it opens like an old classic monster movie. The logo at the opening, which I thought was really clever. And it's just a very simple story about monster hunters, and who is the werewolf, right? Who will be revealed to be the werewolf. So a simple story and a simple plot, you don't need to go into much. It's also fairly kind of forgettable. It's just like, oh, that was entertaining. Great. I don't think it's going to launch a franchise, but as an attempt, I would say Michael Giacchino should be directing episodes of the Disney Plus series. I think he's a very competent director. And I like that there wasn't, I mean, did you detect anything particularly woke about it, or there wasn't
other
really
than
anything...
typical, the counterpart to Gail Barnell Gassier. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Being female. I think females do take major roles in this film.
Well, no, it's an ensemble cast. It's not female led. It's just a lot of different
counterparties. Yeah.
Right. So it worked for me. I was mildly entertained. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever, but based on how the bar has been so lowered for anything that comes from Marvel, I was pleasantly surprised. I do like also there's a really interesting new opening that they used. You see like these like superheroes, and it kind of pans down. And it's like this sort of underworld of the Marvel universe. We mainly associate the Marvel universe with superheroes. So in black and white, there's this little logo opening of like superheroes like Avengers, and then it's like there's this other darker other world that we don't really know about.
It's the Marvel Monsterverse, basically.
Marvel, yes, this is sort of a dipping their toe into the Marvel Monsterverse. Alan, what did you think of Werewolf by Night?
Yeah, I felt the same way. It was good, not great, and that's the feeling I walked away with. I for some reason, really, Marvel should be putting out great stuff. This is good. In terms of a Halloween special, I'm not sure that it's one of those must see now every year during Halloween that maybe from what my wife and daughter say Hocus Pocus is, but it's one of the it's just this weird thing where you have to say it, finally something Marvel has put up is good, and that we're not nitpicking it to death with its faults. And so yeah, good going. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it is forgettable. I think, as I think more about it, it was like nothing really stood out as something that really spoke to me. And it was just a nice adventure about a bunch of monster hunters and the monsters they're chasing.
Yeah, it was, and I think your dog agrees.
Yes,
you can hear your dog in the background. Yeah, no. So it's is it worth your time? Sure, check it out if you've sort of gone through everything. But it's not gonna like I say, it's not gonna change. I don't think it's gonna launch a new IP or a new franchise. Maybe they'll do this once a year, like they do the Treehouse of Horror on The Simpsons, which I always enjoy. But it was fine. It was fine. So liked it, didn't love it. Good for streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing is that like Michael Giacchino can be a director. And I really loved seeing Man Thing. Man Thing felt a little too digital to me, but the black and white kind of fixes that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
there are some sequences in color, but there you go.
I mean, in terms of an homage to the 50s horror, I mean, it's kind of like you almost want it to be of a lower quality to really be an homage to that. Maybe it was a little too upscale. It's a weird way of saying that, but yeah, you kind of want worse acting maybe and worse makeup and costumes in this case.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think?
Let's go to comments, and we have more to review. No one in the chat who's a member. I heard they have changed the name of Man Thing and Werewolf by Night. Well, I don't know if they changed it.
Yeah.
He is not called Man Thing. He's called by a proper name, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm going to look up his origin and see if that's...
Yeah, like they call him by a human name. Does that make sense? But yeah, that would be true. But a lot of these things, they don't, I mean, how often do they call Captain America Captain America? They call him Cap or Captain Rogers or Steve. I think part of that is avoiding saying Captain America. So, yeah, Oteo, it's hard to watch Disney nowadays. Don't blame you. Don't blame you. If you go to a restaurant and they're telling you you're racist or sexist and just because you don't like their food, maybe stop going to that restaurant. Simon Asur, Marvel Dark Universe, maybe. Ryan Landis, good is a high mark for Marvel at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, the name that he has in the show is his alter ego name.
Yeah, it's the alter ego name. I don't want to say what it is to ruin it, but it was an interesting moment. But yeah, he's not called Man Thing. So Shulk Engelbrecht says Marvel is the EA FIFA of movies these days. Just reskin the same thing and charge full price. Yeah, it's kind of becoming that. Infinite Main, has Alan Ing posted a Hocus Pocus 2 review yet?
No, but it's interesting because I'm reading the comments of my review, and again, I hadn't seen the first one, and I was way off in the sense of, this might be a good sequel. Everything I'm hearing from people is they didn't come close to the original. So I've angered a lot of people who love the original.
Well, do we have a review on the website?
We don't know. I'll have to get that one. I just got the internet back.
All right. Alan just got the internet back. Ryan Landis says, so it was written by 18-year-old angry people. No, I don't think so. But I don't think that the writing was anything stellar. I think the thing that stood out to me was the look, the design, and the direction. What didn't stand out was the writing. I do like the idea of you're meeting all these monster hunters and they're very competitive and sort of how that plays out. I thought was
but they were very generic other than the fact that they looked different and that they had costumes and makeup. But in terms of abilities and stuff, there wasn't really a whole lot of difference between them.
Yeah, Arthur Morgan says, lol, I thought those dog noises were Chris lamenting the state of cinema today. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of that. Hank VP is a member. Chris Allen, how did the werewolf look?
Good.
Look fine.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So there you go. Santos, what do you guys think about the new Tim Burton's Wednesday on Netflix? Seen the trailer, haven't seen the show, no opinion.
Is it out already?
I don't know. I know the trailer's out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Okay. Anonymous, I don't give Disney any money out of principle. Fair
Can't blame
enough.
you.
Fair
Can't blame you.
enough. Let's pivot. Let's pivot now to something else. Let's talk about Hellraiser. I will give you my non-spoiler review of Hellraiser. So I'm not going to get too deep into the story. If you are familiar with previous incarnations, so to speak, of Hellraiser, this is consistent with those in terms of the simple rules, with maybe some variations. But it begins with, of course, a mysterious box and a puzzle that is solved by someone who is brutally ripped apart limb from limb by a bunch of chains that appear out of nowhere. And then it becomes a search and a way to, how do you connect with the Cenobites? How do you connect with these otherworldly beings in a way that doesn't lead to imminent death? A box is discovered by a young woman, and her brother is injured in a way. I don't want to go too much into it, but it effectively becomes, we're introduced to a group of people who are now in a mansion where they're confronted by the Cenobites. I'm struggling with like what to say and what not to say. Suffice it to say that people go head to head and don't always survive. I mean, this is the whole thing. You introduce a bunch of characters like that. Some are not going to survive. Some are going to get horribly ripped apart. Some may or may not live, or in some form or whatever. But what I'll say is my memory of the original Hellraiser is that I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was very original, weird. I think it, and they even make a joke about it in the first Hellraiser, like, enough with this cat and mouse shit, because it turns into kind of a cat and mouse thing. And the second half of this movie effectively turns into cat and mouse. It's an hour and 55 minutes. Probably should have been 90 minutes. But what is there, I actually really like. It's set in Serbia, so it was clearly shot not in the United States. And that is, I think, for good reason. And it seems like some of the cast members also are not from the United States. But I really like the look of the new Cenobites. People are complaining about, are people complaining about a female pinhead? I don't know if they are. I don't think you need to worry about it. I think that the new Cenobites are just as horrific and disgusting in many ways, especially using like some new, sort of a mix of digital and makeup effects. But I would say, at least from what I saw, probably more than 80%, maybe 90% all makeup effects with some digital enhancement is how it is. And I think that was a smart choice. If you made everything too digital, it just would have ruined it. But I just, it sort of took me back to, because I gotta be honest, I was a little bored for the first half of the movie. Okay. It's like, all right, I get that there's drama with all these characters and they're all acting, they act like how stupid people act in horror movies. And that's a little frustrating, right? It's a little frustrating when you see the characters acting like, haven't you seen a horror movie? Do you realize what happens to people when they make bad choices? This is what's going to happen to you. But once it gets going, the second half of the film, I really enjoyed, including all of the Cenobites, including the motivation. If you can solve this puzzle, it's a way to talk to God, right? Almost like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Raiders of the Lost Ark like in that sense. But I had a good time with it. I was surprised. I think that, when a series like this gets like to a point of ridiculousness, you can kind of just write it off, right? Like the Halloween films, I think a lot of people are kind of writing those off. I'm glad that Jamie Lee Curtis is back. Okay. But this Hellraiser is, it's not the worst reboot I've seen. I think the second half of the movie really is the star. I think it would have benefited better from being 90 minutes rather than nearly 2 hours. Just speed that up. And it is not for the faint of heart. The final, I don't know how much I can say. The last part of the movie is fucking horrific. There are some, Eric Weber at Awards Ace or Midnight Movie Talk he talked about like a couple of the deaths being kind of traumatic. Yeah, there are deaths that are traumatizing in terms of the level of gore, blood and guts, and sort of this mix of like fetish wear and reskinned and guts just being sort of on display. It's, you know, the Cenobites are effectively like, you know, walking autopsies that dress to go to some fetish BDSM event. You know, from the mind of Clive Barker. And I actually really enjoyed the new Hellraiser. I wish I'd seen it in a theater. I would say this, that why is this movie not in a theater? Why was Prey not in a theater? There have been some things we've seen on streaming that like, okay, you know, and Prey, I think, surprised people. This surprised me in the same way of I went into Prey thinking like, this is going to be terrible. This is going to be stupid. And actually there were parts of it that really surprised me. And I feel the same way about Prey as I do about this new Hellraiser. It's like, oh, surprising. Enjoyed the new Cenobites. And it sounds like one of the, and I don't want to say because I haven't looked any behind the scenes, I haven't looked on IMDb, but I get the feeling based on how one of the characters talks that one of the characters is trans. I'm talking, when I say characters, I mean Cenobites. But it kind of works. It works. So if you're a fan of the Hellraiser series, depending on how big of a super fan you are of the original Hellraiser, you know, you may or may not love this. I was pleasantly surprised. So a mild recommendation for the new Hellraiser. And I watched it during the day. I shouldn't have done that. I should have watched it at night. So watch it at night. But there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not much of a horror guy. I mean, is this movie about, you're watching it for the horror, for the gore, or is there a story that's worth following?
The story is always thin. It's curiosity killed the cat. I want to solve this puzzle. The puzzle leads to peril. The peril leads to how do I save my friends? It turns into a cat and mouse of being chased by Cenobites. Yeah. And they do have certain weaknesses. They can't get through wrought iron doors. So if you're gonna, I kind of, one of the, but also the goriness is, I mean, people being like a full bodies being ripped apart.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are squeamish, do not see the new Hellraiser. Okay. But if you like blood and gore, you know, and I think as long as it relates to the story, so I will accept it in this.
And this is what the first one was basically?
The first one was similar. Yeah. The first one was similar. I do wish, not that, you know, I wish they just explain themselves a little bit more. I'm not super familiar with the Hellraiser lore. I kind of fell off the Hellraiser. I saw the first one and the other ones. I think I don't recall if I saw all of them because this is back in the 80s. But you know, I was pleasantly surprised in the same way I was surprised about Prey. So look, if you're a super fan of Hellraiser, you're going to have nitpicks. I didn't have those nitpicks because I really liked the original. And I thought, oh, well, this is just a modern, and there's not much different. It's similar, sort of, it hits a lot of the same beats as the original for the most part. I just think it was maybe a little longish at the beginning, but once it gets going, quite enjoyed it. Some more comments here. Let's get to your comments. Kelpie, I like Giacchino's comment that horror doesn't need to be sadistic and that it needs a real moral center. You'll get that. No one in the chat says, I have never seen a single Hellraiser movie. Well, is it any good? If you haven't seen a single Hellraiser movie, this is a good place to start. You can go, I would see this one, and then you could also go see the original, but this one is definitely ups the ante. Mainly because of modern effects.
I mean, does that get in the way versus the first one where it was pretty much all practical, I think?
I don't think so. I think the conceit of the first one was the uniqueness, the sort of like I say, it's a walking autopsy going to a BDSM fetish club. That's what the Cenobites are. That's the quickest visual way to describe them. But they're demons, and interacting with them comes with consequences. Is this the same continuity or is a hard reboot? Says the Frozen Active. I didn't notice if they really, it feels like a hard reboot. I don't know if there were any direct references to the original, mainly because I haven't seen the original in probably 20 years. So or more. So no, I can't really say. I should have watched the original Hellraiser and then watched this. Maybe I'll get a chance to do that. TT Alan, that's the real tragedy. Something that made us the people we are today is now something we can't share with our kids because it is so bad.
Yeah.
Captain Cook, don't say mystery box. My ears are sensitive to that phrase. Thanks to Bad Robot. Yeah, I'm not going to say mystery box. It's a puzzle. Original books, Pinhead wasn't male, says Mr. Smith. Oh, there you go. So
is he non-binary? Was it non?
That's
was
the thing,
was they non-binary?
Well, there is one of the Cenobites that is like I would describe as a they, but it does. I don't know that the sexuality
Matters
of the Cenobites really matters, right? They're not. It's yeah. So perhaps it's more accurate to the books. Lord Thoth, I remember watching the original Hellraiser when it first came out, loved it, and horror writers today are inept. A Maggot, she was sewing pins, not nails. Now, sexist. Pilgrim for 2. The movies made in 20/22 made the gods weep. I do think, Pilgrim, we will look back on this era of filmmaking and go, what did we do? Why did we allow these the crazy people to run the asylum? Why did we give them so much power, over our storytelling to the point where it's destroying the movie-going experience? It's turning people off. Classic movies are more popular now than they've ever been because today's movies suck. I might tweet that.
Yeah. I'm not hopeful for the Oscars this year in terms of what's being presented.
Schalk Engelbrecht, in the original book, Pinhead was neither male nor female or both, something like that. Yeah, that's true in this. So it sounds like it's more accurate to the book. And it works. It works. It wasn't annoying. It wasn't distracting. They're not, the Cenobites are not, they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. They're there to fulfill their obligation, so to speak, which is basically your demise. Arthur Morgan, I've always been too grossed out to watch Hellraiser. I feel like maybe I can handle the new movie because it seems a little less body horror.
Sounds like no.
I don't know about that, Arthur Morgan. You might. The first hour is kind of a build up, and then once things kick in, it gets very good. So I just wish they got to that more quickly. Captain Cook, the original Pinhead has no gender, so the wokesters can have at it for all I care. Yeah, there you go. CD Stein 69. I'm not 100% sold on Hellraiser's look, male or female, in the movies that had a royalty of hell look, and this looks more like they leaned more in the desires of hell look. Doug Bradley was perfect. Yeah, I agree. Doug Bradley had some gravitas.
Yeah, biblically, demons and angels, they don't have genders. So
right. Bethany says, ew, this segment is called Gore with Gore. Yeah, it could be called Gore with Gore. Landis Maffey, I'll watch the original Hellraiser. It did not need to be remade at all.
Did it need to be remade?
Well, everything's getting remade. Get ready for it. Everything is getting remade. Everything.
Okay, and then in terms of the gore in this one, is it better? Is it the same? Is it just,
I would say it's, I don't want to say better. I think for the 87, it was better the 87 original Hellraiser was really good because it was all practical, right?
Was it groundbreaking? It doesn't sound like it was groundbreaking though.
Yeah. This is, they really lean into practical with digital enhancement, but not too distracting.
Okay.
Pilgrim FT, when is the next $1 billion tentpole movie? Avatar: Way of Water. That's going to be, I don't know that it'll be $1 billion, but I believe that will be one of the biggest of the year. I just don't count out James Cameron. Cameron working on this for a decade plus, been in his head for as long time. Do not count out James Cameron.
But how do you think he's handling Disney's notes?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Landis Mahaffey, I'm way super fan of Hellraiser. Will not even consider this. I understand the sentiment. Still, I would encourage you, if you already have Hulu, This is what sucks. It's like, oh, I already have HBO Max, so I have that, or whatever. I don't need to. Yeah. Oh, Kevin Diaz Ramirez for $50. Congrats on 50K subs, gents. Loving the new Chris Rants intro. Oh, thank you for that. Well, I'm going to reserve that for the rants when I have a rant. But thank you, Kevin. That's very generous. We appreciate it. We've more than doubled our subscribers since January. More than doubled. Now closing in on 51,000. Actually, Sean Cosgrove became a YouTube member. Thank you for that. Patrick Lemire, in the original movie, you see a flashback to who the Cenobites were in previous life as humans. Yeah, you don't get that here. I feel like they might be saving that for a sequel. CD Stein 69, the series goes closer to Barker's book. Okay. Ryan Landis, I'm not much for gore now unless it complements the story. The Thing comes to mind. Love The Thing. Akanika, Alan pointing out Disney's notes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure James Cameron is listening to everything Disney has to tell him to make Avatar better.
Great. Well, let's do this. Let's switch to what do we want to talk about next? Because we're closing in at the 2-hour mark here. And
let's see.
We could talk about Vesper.
Yeah, Vesper. I have not seen Andor yet. But Vesper and House of the Dragon I have.
All right, well, maybe let's do House of the Dragon then.
Okay.
Since we've both seen it. And, it's funny because when we go to do, we make a list of what we're going to talk about on the show, and we get to maybe 2/3 of it. We get to maybe 2/3 of what we're going to discuss because it's very aspirational. It's kind of like, you ever make a list when you go to the grocery store and you're like, I'm getting all these things. I'm going to get all these things. And then I got to stop by this and I got to pick that up and I got to get batteries and I got to get whatever. There's always something on the list that you miss. And I realized just because I cleaned out my fridge this week that before we get to this review, I'm loath to admit I virtue signal when I grocery shop because I have thrown out more bags of lettuce and more vegetables. I'm like, I have this thing in my head where I'm like, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to get, I'm getting crackers, but I'm getting this thing and that thing and whatever. And of course, what do? A couple weeks goes by and, the head of lettuce I bought is now turning brown. And so if someone sees my cart, they're like, that guy eats healthy. He knows what he's doing. But my garbage can would say otherwise. Does anyone else do this? Am I the only one? All right. Enough of that. House of the Dragon episode 7 is basically you know what I wanted to do? I want to take a piece of Scotch tape, put it across my eye, and then just draw on with marker a little scar on my eye. Aegon is my hero. But House of the Dragon really begins to show the severing of these two families, right? The Greens versus the Blacks. And now the children, the progeny, now having to deal with consequences. The B word has finally been made public, right? Rhaenyra, they're bastards. They're bastards kids. These rumors, look at them. These children are bastards. And what I really loved about this episode was seeing the interaction with the children. When Aegon rides the dragon, is just a spectacular scene. How he then gets in a fight and loses his eye. When you see just the consequences of poor decision making, let's say, I love it. And then when you see Daemon and Rhaenyra, these are the seeds of what's to come. This is everything being set up for a war. I am so all in on this show. If you've not been watching it, forget Rings of Power. Just catch up if you're not fully caught up. But this show is, I look forward to it every Sunday night. Alan, what did you think of episode 7?
Yeah, I was kind of interested in the show early on, but ever since, I think 3 episodes ago, that's when I fully came on board, and I just again really appreciate the storytelling in this show and the direction they're going in. I think the problem I had with the show going at first was that sorry, I gotta keep doing this. What's the king's name again?
Viserys.
Viserys, yeah, he's such a weak leader. And then you realize, oh, that's that's just the seed for what this show is becoming. The fact that I think the last episode they asked, how will I be remembered? Will I be remembered as? And then he talks about not being a king of war, and that just speaks to just how amazingly well written this series is. For this last episode, it's just how did I describe it here? There are moments of hope, and then it goes all down the tube.
Right.
It's just playing with your emotions, with it's saying, oh yeah, things are going to get better, and then it gets worse. I love the fact that when they did the time jump, that they're bringing the children into it, and now these children are killing each other, and then lastly, incest is now in. So great. But
those Targaryens.
I know.
But who's a real standout is Olivia Cook as Alicent. Mm-hmm. I love Olivia Cook.
Yeah.
You really feel for her. I was all like Team Rhaenyra going in, but I have since become very sympathetic to Alicent. Yeah. And Olivia Cook just knocks it out of the park.
Well, I mean, they made her so, they made you like her so much early on. Here's a woman who was doing her duty, doing what she needed to do, and by living out her role, everything personal in her life was taken away from her, and now she's finally and that whole thing about her father saying just play the game because you'll get your chance, and I'm waiting for that chance to happen.
Well, we're going to see it. I mean, you can see why they renewed it for a second season. Oddly enough, Rings of Power, they're just beginning to shoot season 2 of Rings of Power.
Oh my gosh. They need to stop. Just, I think it would be cheaper to just pay everyone off and let it go away.
Who knows? But wow, I'm going to be bummed out when there's only 3 more episodes left of House of the Dragon. And man, what they are setting up, I just cannot. So wait. So Chris misspoke now. Aegon, and now has Aegon his face. Wait, didn't I say Aegon? Aegon is the kid that gets his eye ripped out, right?
Yeah, but now you have Aegon in your face.
Oh my God! All right, let's get to the comments in a minute. People trying to like rip on me in the comments. But no, I just and the thing is, I don't know who's seen it, so we're speaking vaguely about things, just telling you what we all liked. There is a complaint
on Sunday. Yeah, everyone had time to see it.
Well, there is a complaint in the chat. We'll get to it, but the show, this particular episode bothered me. It's too dark. The show is too dark. It's like, oh my God, please, like, and you can adjust settings on your television, and I strongly recommend that you adjust settings on your TV to make the show brighter. But wow, like
I watched it on my iPad, and there are at least 5 minutes where there's barely anything on the screen.
I mean, come on, like this is a this is definitely, especially some of the scenes in this. But I love all the stuff with the kids. The kids are brutal, and they didn't hold back either. Like,
but you saw them turn into this. I mean, that's the beauty of the storytelling. It's not, these are bad kids. You know why they're bad. You know why they've gotten to this point.
Yes, it's so, and I know people complain about the time jumps in the show. I love it. I love it. Stuff actually happens. When you look at Rings of Power, just not a lot happens. And this, maybe we'll have time to talk about Andor, this latest episode. I don't even know if it's worth talking about episode 5. Not a lot happens. This is my problem with.
Well, they haven't gone into the. They haven't done the heist yet.
They haven't done the heist yet, and they're still bugging Cassian Andor. I don't trust him. Can we trust him? I don't really trust him. Oh, we should trust him. Blah blah blah. Like, dude, like look at the way House of the Dragon and the way that the storytelling plays out. So much happens in 10 minutes of that show. Yeah. It's insane. And when I look at Andor, I like the look. I like the more serious storytelling. I like the casting, and I like the fact that the bad guys have the British accent. You know, for the most part, the Imperials all have British accents. I love it. I like where it's going. Something needs to happen.
Yeah.
Why didn't the heist happen?
It's what I call delaying the inevitable. You know what's going to happen, yet the writers want to spend all this time leading up to this thing and that means that the audience is way ahead of you. And they're just waiting for the show to catch up to where the audience is, and that's a show killer. We
know there's going to be a heist. Do the heist, and I think that Andor is suffering from a leaden pace. That if something doesn't happen in the next episode, we're almost halfway through the series of Andor. We're on episode 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so next week will be 6 episodes. How did you lay this out? This is terrible. And this latest episode is like just over 40 minutes, wasted episode. Whereas there has not, in my opinion, there has not been a wasted episode of House of the Dragon yet. Not one wasted episode, not a wasted scene, not a wasted line. This is how good this show is. So each week I like the show a little bit more, and I'm loving it.
I think episode 6 of Andor is a clip show. They're going to sit around the campfire and remember what happened in the clip.
That would be awful if they did that, but I could see them do that. Patrick Lemire, don't worry. We're not bumping Vesper. We're going to get to Vesper. Let's go to Spidey Sensei 72. Still enjoying House of the Dragon, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss Millie Alcock. Yeah, I still think she's too young. It's fine. They did the the recasts. I almost, I don't know. It's fine. It doesn't bother me because I think, the new actress who plays Rhaenyra is very good. So yeah. I
think Matt Smith didn't want to make out with her again.
Yeah. T says House of the Dragon, the best thing on TV. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, such a badass episode. Amazing writing and performances, says Back Fiendish 2 on Indiegogo. Well, Back Fiendish 2 on Indiegogo. Back it, folks. Back it.
I mean, like I said, the stuff I hated about the first 3 episodes are now being paid off. And it's like, okay, now I know why you put me through that.
Solomon Thornton, is it just me or is Rhaenyra acting more like Cersei? I think anyone that lust for power, definitely, yeah, you're right. Much more like Cersei. TT, sorry, but this is exactly the way Game of Thrones went. Until I hear good things about the last season, I will not watch House of the Dragon. Fair enough, TT. But and you're right. You're right to feel burned. You're right to feel burned. Ryan Landis, I enjoyed the episode, but damn, it was so visually dark and too many scenes. Couldn't see everything. Agree. The children fight was better than anything in Rings of Power. Yeah, a bunch of kids basically brutally like fighting. And anyone that's grown up with like brothers or sisters, you can get into some fights. Not quite ones involving a knife. But I do remember growing up, like having fights with siblings, and they can get intense. So
I also have to call out the gay storyline. I mean, if you're going to do gay storylines, this is how you do it.
Spidey Sensei 72 lost an eye, but gained a dragon. So much for depth perception, I guess. Patrick Lemire, I wonder if House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones has a gag order on its production. Very rarely do they say anything that pisses on the fans, except George R.R. But that's just grumpy old man stuff mostly. Bella Wolf says, I didn't even watch the original Game of Thrones. I have 2 rules. If it's based on a book, I read the books first. Rule number 2, I wait for the series to end and binge watch it. I'm firmly committed to this rule now. Bella Wolf, I'd love to take your advice.
Yeah.
TT, Andor equals Andbor. Am I right? Yep. It's this episode is something better happen. Patrick Lemire, Rings of Power. I time jumped the whole thing. Amazon just needs to cancel the 2nd season and do Rings of Refunds, says John Manilang. John, long last name. Rings of Power showrunner just called the trolls of show evil, patently evil. Why can't they admit what is obvious? The cope is so strong. Yeah, and John Manilang, the time jumps in House of the Dragon feels like a mid-season refresh. It is quite refreshing. Actually, John, I was going to comment on that. When they did the first time jump where they replaced Rhaenyra and Alicent, I really think what they should have done is taken 3 months off. Like the show every week, 2 months, and then the next season of 6 episodes or 5 episodes or something. That would have been much better. It would have felt, because we've experienced time and we've been able to digest and maybe go back and rewatch those 5 episodes. It would have made more sense. But yeah, you're right. It does feel like a mid-season refresh, but I'm loving it.
I mean, we got over it pretty fast. I don't think you needed to extend things out a couple months. We got over it.
And CD Stein 69 in the last episode of Andor, they had an almost 10-minute conversation over a bowl of space cereal. Yeah, that bugged me, where what's his name, the officer's talking to his mother, and his mother is like this sort of, doting, overbearing Jewish mother. Well, that could just be any mother, actually, but that's a stereotype and a cliche. Feel free to call me out for that. But and then he picks up one of the little puffs, and it looks like a world. Right, you got the blue milk, but it looks like some sort of planet.
Oh my gosh,
that scene was like, Andor, it hasn't lost me, but oh my god,
it's sad that they made this decision to stretch it out over 12 episodes, when clearly they could have cut 3, maybe 4 episodes out and just got right to the meat of the story.
They could have, they could have just made a movie,
because their action scenes have been really good so far.
Yeah, they could have made a movie, and why didn't they? They're dragging anything out. Davina Duckworth said, did you guys hear that YouTube is thinking of charging for 4K videos? We are going to be in 2K for the longest time.
Yeah. We ain't going 4K.
I don't want to see myself in 4K. But, yeah, I mean, look, I didn't hear that. But they are charging for 4K. Here's where I know this. On YouTube TV, I actually used YouTube TV instead of cable because I share it with some people. So I share my account, and then they constantly want you to upgrade to 4K for YouTube TV and charge you more money. And I just say, no, I don't do that. So that may be what you're referencing.
So what you're saying is if I go, so they're bugging me about going ad-free. So the moment I go ad-free, they're going to bug me about 4K?
It's very possible. Let's do a short review of Vesper. Vesper is a indie science fiction film about a young girl named Vesper. She is living in a world that is dying. The world is resources are few. She's traveling, and she's good with technology. She's traveling and seeking answers. She's looking mainly for seeds to help bring Earth back to its lush self. A futile effort, according to her floating drone robot. She befriends a young girl who is from these floating structures. I'll say this. This movie is incredibly visual. Like, it looks amazing, but it's unfortunate. The unfortunate reality is that it is more dull than I would have hoped. Not a lot happens. Her whole goal is to kind of bring new life into the world, so to speak. It's over 90 minutes, but feels way longer. And I really had high hopes for this film. Now, as an exercise in what a small independent film can do on a low budget, I think Vesper is a beautiful, remarkably beautiful looking film where not a lot happens. It's also kind of quite depressing, along with a underneath the surface kind of message about the environment, which we've been hearing in science fiction since the beginning of science fiction. So there's nothing really new or original here. What's new and original is the look. It's almost like I hate to say this, Vesper is sort of like a really great tech demo with a very thin story. And I honestly want to say I was a bit disappointed in this movie. So if you really love sci-fi and you want to see something that looks pretty, where not a lot happens, Vesper's for you. But and look, this just goes to show, just because a movie is independent, an independent film, doesn't mean it's a great film. Okay, this movie is I mean, I would rate it like a 5, around there. I'd give it a mixed review, you know, not quite a mild even recommendation, but the visual effects beautiful, and I wish they had spent as much time on the story as they did the effects. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I liked it a whole lot more than you did.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Well, I mean,
wait, you
you
did
know, I think you're right.
Why didn't you say like, dude, like, come on, like, it takes forever for stuff to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a slow pace to it. You know, the story does, you know, it can be compacted a little bit, but you know, there are a lot of good things about it. One is, you know, you brought up the visual style of it. It's kind of, I like the blend because it definitely feels like an indie film in terms of there's not a lot of production values to it, but then again, the computer graphics really do enhance it. Eddie Marsan is great as Uncle Jonas. By the way, the floating robot, that's her father. It's connected to her father, who is, and so there's a family story there, and that's the thing. I don't think you sold at all in your assessment, but her relationship with the drone is basically her relationship with her father, and you know, and she is caught between trying to survive and trying to stay with her family, you know, and that's what this movie is about, is this young girl's chances of survival and who she trusts and who she doesn't trust. There's another girl that comes in, and she's yeah, if I talk about more, it's a spoiler, but now a stranger comes in, and she has to decide if she trusts the stranger, and you know, because her father doesn't, but somehow she does, and so, you know, there's, I think what you're missing, at least in your assessment, are these relationships that are going on between her father, between this new girl, and between her uncle, who, you know, is a bad guy, but he is very, you know, he's I wouldn't say Svengali, but he's very persuasive as to why he is, you know, basically trying to basically be the godfather of this small region. And so I found that pretty exciting. I found it very engaging. But yeah, you know, I will agree with you. It is slow. It is slow. But you know, I think that's the beauty of, it's a British story. It's also the beauty of independent films, because the world building here is great, especially for an independent film. And you know, and I like the fact that it's a brand new story. It's not some rehashed IP that they're trying to do here.
Well,
you know,
I give it an A for effort, but I feel like had they put more into this, they put so much into the world building. And look, that the movie succeeds incredibly because of that. But beyond that, I'm just kind of disappointed in it. What would you rate it? So I'm recommending it for the special effects, for the world building, but what would you say? Would you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely 7. It's
okay, so 5 for me.
Yeah, it's not going to blow you away, but I think in terms of an alternate story to what you're getting nowadays, you know, it's a good one.
Great. All right. Well, we have a special guest about to join us for a second. Let's get to some comments real quick before we bring on Paul Schuyler here from Red River Road is going to be joining us in just a moment. Real quick on the comments here. We've got a few comments. Patrick Lemire says, YouTube ad-free is one of the things, if you get it, you can't go back. Yeah, I have ad-free YouTube. I love it. YouTube ad-free is the best. And Kelpie, plot sounds like it's going to get compared to Silent Running. It has elements of that, I would say. Basically, the ecological messaging that's underneath the surface.
But there's no high-speed chase. There's no, you know, I think that's what it's missing is, some kind of real tension.
Look,
It's very understated. Yes.
Well, here's what I'll say: if it's a choice between giving your money to Bros or Vesper, definitely go see Vesper. I believe it is on video on demand.
Yeah, it is in some theaters. It has a limited release.
Movie looked really cool. Mr. Smith says, "What is Vesper on? Streaming or theater? Limited theatrical release, video on demand. Look it up." And Alan Horkin says, "Andor might be good to binge when it's all done, but it fails as episodic television. Not going to stop watching though." Alan, I'm with you. It fails. It fails. It's not good episodic television where each episode tells a story. Disney can't make television. That's just a fact. All right, so let's reset here for just a minute as we get.
I would claim Walt couldn't make television either, but
Walt Disney.
Walt Disney, I think he's had more flops than successes.
Are you talking about the original Disney, like the Wonderful World of Disney and all that?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right, yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's reset as we talk about Red River Road, which is I would describe as a pandemic thriller about a virus, and who's infected with this virus, who knows? But when you're a family of four, in a remote location, anything could happen. Let's bring on the director of Red River Road, which I believe is out. Is it in theaters or is it? Hey, Paul, good to meet you. I'm Chris Gore. This is Alan Ng right here.
Hi, Alan. Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Great. Good to have you on the show. Paul, is the movie, it's out on video on demand currently or in theaters or both?
It's just VOD.
VOD. Well, just VOD? Don't say just VOD. That's our bread and butter. We love that. We love movies that are.
So I run a movie theater here on Cape Cod. So we did a 3-week theatrical here. So unless you live near me, it's only VOD.
Congratulations. And by the way, I am loving your background here. Did you make a piece of art out of old film reels?
It is old film reels. We used to own a movie themed restaurant, and we commissioned a sculptor to make that. And when we sold the restaurant, that and it was an 8,000 video library. I scaled down to 4 that lives in my basement. And now looking at your guys' background, I'm kind of wishing I had something down there, but this will do, right?
No, yours is killer. That's awesome. What led to Red River Road? What was there something in the zeitgeist that actually led to the story? Because it seems very timely.
So we were supposed to shoot a movie called Tuna Goddess, which was based off a play my wife wrote. We had it cast, we had money, we had the whole thing. We were supposed to shoot in August of 2020. And when it first started coming out that there was this virus, and I was like, I don't think we're going to be shooting. If this hits, we're done. So I was sort of planning that it wasn't going to happen. And then when they locked us down, I was like, once it was clear we were definitely not going to shoot, I was like, well, I could sit around and be depressed, stuck in our house, or we're all actors. We're all trained actors. I have all the equipment. I have everything I need. What if we shot a feature here in the house? And literally that night I woke up from a dream that's basically the movie that you see, fully fleshed out. I just grabbed a notepad and just wrote down furiously, tried to remember everything before it fades. You know how dreams fade. Within 10 days, I had the script written, and I think 2 weeks after that, we were shooting.
Well, congratulations. I mean, it is when you have all those resources at your disposal. I mean, it's certainly an advantage, but you literally made your dream come true.
Yeah, I was unwilling to sit in just depression over, a failed movie project. It happens all the time. You get close, something happens, and I just wasn't willing to have that be the end of it.
Well, they normally don't even, especially indie movies, don't come together that quickly. I heard a statistic that like from conception to finished film is generally 7 years.
Yeah.
So is that, so Red River Road being made so quickly, that's not normal.
No, it's not normal.
Yeah.
At all.
when you played it at the theater, a theater that you own, like what was that experience like?
So it's got a full 5:1 mix, and I spent a lot of time on the sound design and the music. And in a theater, it really pops. I mean, it's good, wherever you watch. I think the story holds up despite that, but you get that extra like immersive bit. I had people who streamed it during some of the film festival runs that were virtual, that then came to the theater to see it, and afterwards they were like, wow, that's just a different experience when all that gets to shine through, that like stuff that's coming from behind you and coming from the side, and it just adds that extra layer. Plus I'm a child of the 70s, so to me the screen is where everything should start, and then it finds its way into other mediums. So I think in those terms.
Well, we might be around the same age, because certainly the 70s cinema is kind of where I grew up, and seeing movies, fortunately, at a dollar theater.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I think we're really close in age, if memory serves.
There we go. Well, let's go to some comments and questions from people in our chat. We've got over 300 people watching us live. So Here we go. Kid Valhalla says, I've seen movies filmed entirely in a house. How'd Paul end up making his movie look like dog trash like those? I don't know exactly what he means by that, but what are the challenges of shooting a movie in a house?
I'm a little confused by this question. Is he, because I think our film doesn't look like dog trash.
Yeah, see, that's the point. That's the point. But what's it like? What are some of the challenges of your shooting? And were you living in the house while you were shooting?
Yeah, this is our house.
Oh,
so
my God.
The biggest challenge was, when you live in a house and you have two teenage boys, there's a lot of mess that gathers in every corner, every square inch. So it was literally about moving the mess behind the camera at all times. So we'd have to make in front of the lens look empty and sort of, not lived in, because it's supposed to be our summer home in the story. But if you just turn the camera, 15 degrees, you would just see piles of stuff that we just had to shuttle from room to room. That was probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah. Other questions and some comments here. That is cool looking real art. There you go. And Kid Valhalla says supposed to be not.
Yeah.
I guess you forgot a word. Yeah.
Yeah, not looking like dog trash. Solomon Thornton says, hello, Sir Paul. Immortal Remus says, any chance of Red River Road getting an international theatrical release?
Currently, it's just North American rights. Gravitas, when they picked it up, that's all they wanted. So I retained theatrical and worldwide. Problem was, it was the big international, I forget what it's called, where they go and everyone buys and does their wheeling and dealing. So I wanted to let that die down and get through this phase, and then we're going to approach some of the international. We did festivals in the UK and in Australia, and we're really successful there. Won an award at Night of Horror. So we want to get it out there to the world. So that's coming.
Davina Duckworth says, Red River Road sounds very intense. I will check it out. And Solomon Thornton asks, what was your favorite scene to shoot?
I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a scene where we get drunk. And I think that was the most fun. And we get asked all the time at Q&As, like, did you guys really get drunk to shoot that? They're like, nope, I just have a lot of sense memory to draw upon.
Cool.
But that was a lot of fun to shoot that.
Can I ask you, shooting during COVID, was that a blessing or a curse for the ultimate product?
Honestly, I thought as we started off that it was going to be really easy to shoot empty streets and record like dead silent sound. And I don't know if it's because Cape Cod's sort of an escape place, but a lot of people just flooded out of Boston and came here. So there were just people everywhere. So I had to basically rebuild the entire sound design with silence. Like everything had to be added because none of the live sound we could use because there'd be cars or lawnmowers. There's a sequence where one of the characters managed to get out and see part of the world. And it was constantly waiting for that 1 second where no one's driving through a shot. And it actually was super challenging. And I thought that was going to be the cakewalk part of it.
Glenuccio asks, which horror movies inspired you the most? Or movie?
Definitely. So it's funny, in making the film, I didn't really question it because we were in such a rush. And going back now and looking at it, I can clearly see The Thing is a huge influence on it. Obviously, The Shining, because you have an isolated place with, a small cast of characters. And then, interestingly enough, I just did this thing called Cinemagic Film Festival at our theater. It was 50 classic movies. We showed it all September long. And one of the films we showed was Close Encounters. And I was just amazed how many little touch points of Close Encounters just tonally apply to Red River Road. So that obviously was lurking in the background.
It's weird what can be swirling in your psyche that kind of resurfaces subconsciously on film when you're making a movie.
Yeah.
Ryan Landis says, when the pandemic hit, I can honestly say that filming a movie in and around my house never came to mind. Props to you. Well, it's weird because they said well, it's the pandemic. What are we going to do? Now's the time of, this is the time to quit your job, write that novel you've thought about, make that film. I mean, we started to build up our YouTube channel because we could live stream like we're talking to you right now. Where are you right now?
I'm in the house.
You're actually in the house.
Yeah.
You're on set. Yes.
I'm on set.
That's great. That's great.
I was going to say, just to circle back on what you were saying, my wife and I have a joke that there are at least 20 house projects that will now never get done.
Yeah.
Our opportunity was to do them during the pandemic. We didn't do that. So
well, you made a movie
out there. We made a movie, but for anybody that got their kitchen counters installed, we didn't do that. So yeah, you've got one up on us in that regard.
Congratulations to you, Paul. Thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with our audience here. The movie is Red River Road. It is out now on video on demand and hopefully hitting international screens sometime soon. Paul, thank you for joining us on the Film Threat Livecast. We appreciate it.
Totally my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Cool. All right. Take care, Paul. Later.
Right, you too.
Cool. All right. Let's keep chatting. Because I think we may
we got some Vesper comments that
let's go through some of these Vesper comments.
Yeah.
Because I pushed that movie. I really was excited about the movie until I saw the movie. I may have built it up too much in my mind. But let's go to your Carlos Branca says, don't agree. Vesper, you are free to not agree. This is what I love. I got into a little thing. I got dragged into a conversation on Twitter today. It was me, Rob Burnett, Ryan Cannell, a couple other people. And someone was criticizing Robert Burnett's opinion about something. And we just have different opinions. Alan and I have different opinions. And
well, it's good to know the chat is on my side for once.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. No, look, that's fair enough. It just, maybe I'm more of a harsh critic when it comes to sci-fi and maybe I read a little bit too much into it, but Carlos Branca says, don't agree. Vesper was very good PG-13 movie. I love the characters and was very worried about Vesper. Very good ideas and visual, good biopunk. Yeah. Like I say, you can't criticize the look of this movie. It looks amazing. It looks.
I thought Eddie Marsan was great. I loved him as the villain. He, just that being not only the villain, but being the uncle who is the villain.
Right. And then Immortal Remus says, since we need to send a message to the industry about wanting new films, I'm going to give Vesper a chance if it makes its way in one of my local theaters here in the UK. Fair enough. Look, I go see indie movies all the time, way too much. Okay. I watch them at home. I go to the theaters to see them. Indie movies, that is my preference. Mainstream movies, it's all right, let's get through this. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, if I'm going to support an indie movie, I'll see Vesper 5 more times before I ever see Bros. Buford T. Justice for 40. The Halloween franchise needs a hard reboot. The new Halloween movies are so bad that I actually have a far greater appreciation for Rob Zombie's Halloween. We need more low budget, high quality horror films. I would agree. And Davina Duckworth says the chat is always on Alan's side. Oh, hang on a sec. There's a guy, Paul, that I wanted to have on the show today. Let's see if I can get him to join us. Hang on a sec.
Who are you talking about?
Paul Trombolo. Paul Tomborello. Sorry.
Trombonelio.
Yeah, let me. Why don't you answer the chat question
Yeah.
while I get this set up?
Yeah. So Alan Horkins responding to Immortal. Rima's claim that Vesper will get a UK release in October 21st. Yeah, because I thought it was a UK movie in the first place. Solomon Thornton, I have gay friends and they don't watch shows about themselves. In fact, they introduced my Chinese films, such as Hard Boiled and Police Story. I mean, I will tell you, I do like seeing Chinese films. I do like seeing myself in movies, but no, I totally get the point you're making. It's kind of like, again, you have to define your audience, whether it's broad or whether it's specific. And when that happens, that's how you market and that's how you make money. But you can't just throw a dart out there and hope it hits. The supplement engineer, Chris and Alan, thank you both for the great banter and content you continue to push. Any plans to see Smile? Chris saw Smile and he loved it and highly recommend.
No, I didn't. I didn't. It was my review on it was pretty mixed.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to. I don't know if our review went up on that one yet. I don't see it here, but our Smile review will get up probably sometime this week. The film is coming from inside the house. That's right. I think that's coming about making movies in your home. Hope Paul's movie does well. Yeah, as do we all. Let's see where else are we. TT says good writing is like doing your homework. We can always tell you haven't done it. Yeah, absolutely true. There's an art to writing, and I, reviewing as many independent films as I have, you do see certain things coming out, certain, I don't know about trends, but one of the big ones is, when you're writing, don't be so married to your dialogue and don't make it so much. I just saw a film yesterday and complimented because their characters in the movie were so distinct from each other, and that the characters did not sound like the author's words coming out of both of their mouths. And then let's see. Okay, and let's keep going here. Buford T. Justice for $10. Thank you very much. I appreciate your recommendation of Black Phone. A very good movie. I really enjoyed it. Yes, we are on the Black Phone bandwagon. Let's see. Here we go. Shelby AC has some movie recommendations. If you haven't seen them, Farewell My Concubine, The Blue Kite, and Raise the Red Lantern are wonderful. I believe those are Chinese. We're talking about Chinese films here. Let me see. Sorry, I'm going to back up here a bit.
Immortal Remus says minimal dialogue is the best most of
Oh, absolutely.
But before go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, it's the whole show don't tell. There's an art to getting your exposition across without having to give exposition to do it. All right, Chris.
I wanted to explain this right here. There is a crowdfunding campaign that just launched yesterday. It's called Shark Trap. And I wanted to bring on the filmmaker to talk about this for a couple reasons. One, I love shark movies. Okay. I love shark movies. What can I say? And by the way, the link will be in the description for this YouTube video. But Shark Trap is made by someone who's an experienced indie filmmaker. This is not a first timer. Paul Tomborello is a guy who makes low budget indie movies. He gets it done. He gets it out. He gets it sold. He gets it made. And just as a way of reference, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make you aware of this project so that you can, a couple things. One, you could contribute to the crowdfunder. We talk about different crowdfunding campaigns every once in a while. Additionally, I think if you are going to do your own crowdfunding campaign, this is a great way for you to learn. So I want to bring Paul on the show to talk about Shark Trap, to talk about the campaign, to talk about his past films. Because why? I want you to learn. There's over 300 people watching us live. If you want to raise money for an independent film, Paul right now trying to raise 50 grand. Not necessarily to get the movie, but to get like other effects and whatnot. That's his goal. Let's bring Paul on the show right now. We'll talk to him. We'll check in on the campaign. Here we go. I had it all set up. Where did it go? Where did it go? No, I had a thing all set up. Give me a second here, folks, while I set this up. Let's bring Paul on right here. There we go. Paul, how's it going, man?
Hey, Paul.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Both.
Hey, let's do this. Wait. Sorry, we're usually more organized than this. There we go. Yeah. Paul, how's it going, man?
Not bad. Thanks again for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
One of the biggest questions, and first of all, congratulations on the launch of the campaign. It's not even been 24 hours, and you're already like 10% of the way.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, it's obviously it's a process, but yeah, we a lot of my movies, the last 2 movies that we did, the sales company actually provided the budget for us, and then I went ahead and hired all the actors and the crew, so we were kind of in charge in doing that movie for the sales companies. But my early days were kind of going back to the early days where we would raise just money from equity investors, and kind of going back that direction just because I like to have a little bit more control over the post-production and the effects. I just did a shark movie. It filmed pretty much the same time as last year as this one, November last year. And then we released it in the summer and with Shark Week. And and it's a Walmart exclusive currently. So if you do go into Walmart physically right now, you can pick up a copy of Shark. Alien Shark is the movie. But yeah, I do have to say that, the sales company kind of runs with it. I wish I could have had a say on some of the effects and some of the post, but sometimes that's not what you get. So with this one, we're doing equity investment, and then this specific campaign is to ensure that we have a good CGI shark, that we have good post-production, and it's released with a little bit more of my creative input. So that's kind of why we're doing this campaign, and I think there's a lot of value if I was going to set up my production company to engage with fans. I think that's important. I mentioned in the video a little bit about taking a little bit more of the control back. I don't know where it's going to go, but I think there is going to be a little bit of a shift. I think fans are going to have a little bit more say in the content, or should, rather than just relying on, studio executives. I think fans should have a vote. Which movie poster do you like? What are some plot points that you guys kind of enjoy? And then also taking it a step further, and we're offering pre-sale digital copies, but also attending the movie premiere and even becoming an associate producer. So that's kind of the idea, is to do post, to CGI, own control of that, and then to get movie people on board, and just to have a little bit of creative input and just be fun, that we're giving away small roles. I am casting, so the roles are going to have professional actors, but it's also fun if you have a couple lines as a stand-in. And I think that's kind of a cool thing that we can give away, and that's kind of what we're doing.
Well, I mean, if Hollywood was going to make a shark movie now, they'd probably make the shark gay. Let's be honest. It would be a gay shark movie. But look, the reason I want to have you on to talk about this is, one, I invest in Kickstarters myself. Okay. And a lot of people already in the chat are saying that they jumped in, but they jumped in the pool. And you've got a great tagline for the movie. What's the tagline again?
come on in the water's blood.
I love it. And with shark movies, sort of like our recurring thing. If you look at our Instagram, I keep track of every shark movie that's coming out this past year at Award This. We had a shark movie category because there were so many shark movies being made. There's just something about it. It's like as a subgenre, there's something about shark films that are just incredibly compelling. But a lot of the number one question I get from filmmakers, the number one question, how do I get money for a movie? And what I'm hoping is you can answer that question and we can check in on the campaign again before you close, before like the end of the month, before the end of the 30 days campaign. But there's a lot of questions in the chat. So you mind taking some chat questions?
Cool.
Live?
I don't see questions.
I'll read them to you.
Yeah, we'll read them.
I'll read them.
Okay.
Back Fiendish 2 on Indiegogo says, I'm in. Shelby AC says, it's a trap. Mr. Smith says, I went to the theater to see Black Phone, loved it. Did they consider it a flop? No, Black Phone was a success. Made a lot of money.
160 million so far.
60 million for Black Phone.
160 million worldwide.
160 million, 60 million. So it basically made 12 times as much money as Bros. All right. Davina Duckworth says, for Paul, is filming underwater insanely expensive?
That's a great question. It's not too much. We're not going to get crazy a lot of like under POV shots. We're not going to go crazy on that. But, really with the expenses, Brandon, he's in the video, our cinematographer, he has a red V-Raptor camera. So if he chooses to use some of the underwater shot with that, then it's a matter of like, yeah, we're gonna have to go out of our way to get an expensive underwater rig for that camera. But you can also get a very inexpensive GoPro that shoots like 4K, and there's a little bit of a transition, but it's underwater shots. So I foresee us kind of going on a kind of a 4K shot with the underwater, or really up to Brandon, but there's inexpensive ways to do it. And that's probably where I would go with it as far as if I had to save on production costs, get a GoPro that's
Cool.
That's 4K. Yeah.
Cool. Let's go to these super chats here. Danger UXO for 20 says, thanks for making us aware of the project. Just backed. And here is the tip Indiegogo was asking for. Film Threat needs it more. Thanks, guys. Thank you for that, Danger UXO. AKNTE, A Night for $9.99. Chris, I have seen you rage twice over the past week on other channels. I suggest going for the run and Audible, the Jack Carr series, Terminal List. It's 10 times better than the show. That has been recommended to me several times. Davina Duckworth has another question. Does the shark have a name?
Hey, if you want to pay to name the shark, you can definitely do that.
All right, suggestions in the chat for the name of the shark.
Yeah, that's
suggestions. Patrick Lemire says sharksploitation. That is a genre, would you say?
Oh, 100%. On the producers front, what I've learned is if you can, on an independent level, if you can target niches, that serves you very well, which is kind of funny. And this not only goes, like, I know it's very powerful going into the summer with a shark movie, because the content guys like Tubi and even Netflix or even Hulu, Amazon, whoever you want to get distribution through, they're craving shark movies. They know there's a marketplace, an audience marketplace for that. So, and that doesn't even go through shark movies specifically. That goes for, if you want to do an indie movie, making it simple is to almost contract like St. Patrick's Day would be great, because, there's a little bubble of content where it's like, if you have like a St. Patrick's Day movie that no one else has, you might just get picked up on that little fact alone. Valentine's Day, paying attention to the holidays, really. I think Christmas movies are a little oversaturated, but there's a reason why there's millions of Christmas movies, right? Because there's a time in the year that comes around, and content acquirers are looking for specific movies. And if you have one of them, you're that niche, you ramp up. You have more of a chance to actually place your movie and get it sold. So I do pay attention to niches. And yes, is this another shark movie? Yes. But you know what? You get really creative with it. We're doing something. It's a shark movie that hasn't been done before. But yeah, there's a rhyme and reason for sure. Getting it ready for summer of next year.
Well, you have some suggestions for the names for the shark. Let's just go. Let's go through them quickly. Let's see. Patrick Lemire says Sharky McSharking. Clyde says more MAGA. Puppers says Valere Starchild. David Rayner says Gums. Fluffy says TT. Ryan Landis says name the shark Fonz in honor of jumping the shark. That's where that term came from. The Sharkinator or Bruce, says Solomon Thornton. Oh my God. Okay. And Danger UXO says, has there ever been a Karen Great White? Karen the Shark. That could work. Here's a serious question here from Solomon Thornton. Fans matter. Thanks, Paul. Anyway, what was your challenge on shooting the film? You've made a bunch of
Alien Shark. The challenge on Alien Shark specifically was the producers decided to shoot it in Gulf Shores, Alabama. So the biggest challenge on that one was there's no crew infrastructure in Gulf Shores, and there's no actors community. So I was literally pulling from Louisiana, as we had to cast a lot of our crew out of Louisiana, and then a lot of our actors were coming from Florida. So it did not save production. You know, you might get a couple good locations for a small amount of money in Gulf Shores, but it wasn't actually a great line producing move because we had to cater in all our crew and all our actors from different states. And, you know, oftentimes it was a minimum an hour away for them. So you have to, you know, put them up. So yeah, that was the biggest challenge on shooting that movie, for sure.
And we've got some other questions and comments here. Patrick Lemire says, I like Fonz. So you got to name the shark the Fonz. And good question here. We'll make this, because we got to wrap up. We'll make this our final question from the chat. Back Fiendish 2 on Indiegogo. Fiendish 2 must be another campaign. That's why she's named herself that. But question for Paul, have you had any encounters with sharks in the wild? You look like a surfer dude.
Well, thank you. No, I actually have not had any personal encounters with sharks, thankfully. But I definitely have had friends that have had run-ins with sharks. So Pacific Coast Ocean, as everyone knows, depending on what time of year, can get a little dangerous. But no, I have not. Thank you.
All right. Well, Paul, I want to thank you for coming by for this. We are going to check in with you again. We'll have you back before the end of the month, before the end of your 30-day window, because it's 30 days for the campaign. And what's really interesting, you and I had a discussion about crowdfunding campaigns. If anybody needs some crowdfunding campaign advice from me, I'll send you what I sent Paul, which is a PDF of a document a friend of mine made. He raised $300,000 for his independent film. If you go to filmthreat.com/contact, I will send you that PDF. The Shark Trap campaign ends in 29 days. So it kicked off yesterday. So we're going to keep track of it. And we're going to be, here we go. Here's, we'll go to some more comments after Paul leaves us as we wrap up, but we're going to check in with you because I want to learn the lessons where you go and you made a choice to go on Indiegogo because you actually, technically you need the money to kind of finish the movie, but it won't prevent you from making the movie. It's just going to make the movie better having this money because I saw your resume of movies that you've made and completed is pretty amazing. And I know you can't talk about it now, but let's talk about the cast next time you come back, because there are some amazing cast members that you have in this. So I'll put the link to to the campaign in the description for this video on YouTube. So make it easier for you to click right through. But just go to Indiegogo.com and look up Shark Trap. You will find it. Paul, can't wait to have you back. You got to come back.
Yeah.
We got to see where you ended up, the trials and tribulations. Getting to launch it is one challenge. Getting to launch it, making it successful, you know, you're in for a ride. So good luck to you, Paul. Thanks for chatting with us, and thanks to everyone in the chat. They're loving it. They're loving it. So that's great.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, sounds good. Talk to you soon.
We'll see you back in like 3-4 weeks, right
Perfect.
before you end. We'll hopefully be celebrating. You'll be popping some champagne.
Yes, that sounds great. I like it. Okay.
All right, take care, Paul. Later. Thanks. Bye-bye. I think it's important that our audience, because I know other people are trying to raise money for movies. Okay. Other people are trying to raise money for movies. I think it's important that through other people, this is a great suggestion. Shark-a-lot, like chocolates. I love it. The water is blood. Yeah, no, I love that campaign. But yeah, no, I think it's important that we pass on knowledge, right? We're here to you know, I like to pass on knowledge. I don't keep a lot of secrets. If I've got information that can help you out, I'm going to give it to you. So we're going to keep track of this campaign. We're going to have Paul back before the end of his campaign ends, and we'll see what he learned. But we're wrapping it up today, folks. Yeah. We went.
I'll just say that they're you know, supporting these campaigns, there has to be an alternative to the big studio system, and the only way we can do it is through campaigns like this.
Absolutely, the only way you can really find out about them. And I'll share this again. I'll wait. Wait, no, share the screen. I got to go here, right? Is that it? Wait, Alan, where are you?
No.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, so Shark Trap, in the time he went up a couple $100 the time that we were here. So look at that. Look at that. That's exciting. So we'll keep you up with the campaign because I want to give you the tools and the knowledge for other people who have done this. So when you're ready with your project, you can do this. Does that make sense? It's just, I think it's important to, as Yoda said before he died, pass on what you have learned. Alan, what have we learned today?
We've learned. Thanks for just dropping that on me. We learned that the House of the Dragons is the best thing out there. We've learned that quantum.
It's showtime.
Well, it's actually not showtime anymore. It's the end of the showtime. But I want to thank you in the chat, everyone. God, we had 500 people watching us today. I really love that. That we're gaining more and more of an audience. The artist formerly known as Shark. Some other comments here. Good luck on the film. Yeah, name the shark the Fonz. Yeah. Ryan Landis says, yeah, you should try to get Henry Winkler in for a scene. He probably could. Henry Winkler is available. Would be great if you guys could do a video on how best to start a crowdfunding campaign, says A. Campbell. Now that you ask, I will do it.
Yeah.
In the coming weeks, I will do a video on my top tips for having a successful IKEA chair. I saw the word IKEA. It threw me off, Spaceman. A successful crowdfunding campaign, whether you use Kickstarter or another platform. But my first piece of advice is don't put IKEA chairs in your movie. But hey.
No. If you're going to make a space movie, don't put IKEA chairs on your ship.
Exactly. But also want to remind you, Film Threat is now on Discord. You can see in our community tab and in the description for this episode, a link to our Discord. Discord. This is when I know I'm tired. When I'm like, I just sort of misspeak, is like, oh yeah, I need to eat more of that burned pizza that I made. But please like, subscribe, and share. We are Film Threat on everything. You can support our work by going to shop.filmthreat.com. You can pick up the shirt that I'm wearing right now, or you can pick up one of our Film Threat mugs. if you like. And there you go. And
by the way, I'm going to be nitro boosting our Discord server today. I don't know what that does.
What does it do?
Have no idea. I know for me it allows me to give a specific icon, so it's not the cat, my daughter's cat picture. So but I think it's just a way to support the server itself, and it unlocks certain perks. That's my understanding.
Does that unlock it for the channel or just for you?
I think both. I think I get some perks, and I think the server gets perks.
Well, feel free to like. I think what we need an icon. We need an icon that we can just throw up. You know, something like this. That could be an emoji. Who is Nipple Man? Or the Alan Hart emoji. Couldn't we do that? Could we add that?
I don't know how this picture got made.
Blame Glenuccio, and shout out to Glenuccio.
When did I make that face?
That's I think from, where is that from?
Oh, maybe it's off my Instagram or something.
Could be. Also, shout out to Glenuccio, producing in the background. Knocked it out of the park today. Really killing it on the thumbnails. And we appreciate it. Glenuccio, subscribe to his channel. And with that, Alan,
let's get out of here.
Try it again.
Let's get out of here.